For 50 years, Elon Musk's family kept a secret about his grandmother, a secret about why he builds rockets, a secret about what really happened in the Kalahari Desert in 1974. His grandmother didn't die in that plane crash. She disappeared on purpose. And she left behind clues, a star chart, strange numbers, coordinates pointing to somewhere beyond Earth. Now, his parents are finally ready to tell the truth about the lights in the sky, about the photograph from space, about why Elon has spent his entire life reaching for the stars. This is the story they never wanted to tell, the story that explains everything, the story of a grandmother who chose the cosmos over her family, and the grandson who's been chasing her ever since. What you're about to hear will change how you see Elon Musk forever, because some secrets are too big to stay buried, and some promises take a lifetime to keep. The rain tapped against the window of May Musk's New York apartment like tiny fingers asking to come in. She sat at her kitchen table, a cup of tea growing cold in her hands. It was Tuesday morning, October 15, 2024. Outside, the city rushed past. Yellow cabs honked. People hurried under umbrellas, but inside everything felt still. May was 76 years old now. Her silver hair was pulled back neatly. She wore a simple gray sweater. On the table in front of her sat her phone, a stack of unopened mail, and a photograph in a silver frame. The photograph showed a woman with kind eyes and a bright smile. She wore a leather flight jacket and stood next to a small airplane. Her name was Winifred Josephine Haldeman. Everyone called her Win. She was May's mother. May picked up the photo and traced her finger along the edge. 50 years. It had been 50 years since that December day in 1974 when her mother had climbed into her Beechcraft plane and flown into the African sky. 50 years since anyone had seen her alive. The phone rang. May jumped. Hot tea sloshed over the rim of her cup. She grabbed a napkin and dabbed at the spill, then reached for her phone. The screen showed a number with a South African country code. Her heart beat faster. Only one person called her from South Africa anymore. Hello. Her voice came out smaller than she meant it to. May. The voice on the other end was deep and rough, like stones tumbling in a river. It's Errol. May closed her eyes. Errol Musk, her ex-husband, the father of her 3 children. They had been divorced for over 40 years. They had not spoken in 5 years. Not since that awkward dinner in Pretoria when Elon had tried to get them in the same room. Errol, she said carefully, is everything okay? Are the kids? The kids are fine. This isn't about them. He paused. She could hear him breathing. He sounded old, tired. May, I found something in Mother's old trunk, the one from the house in Waterkloof. May's hand tightened on the phone. Win's trunk. Yes, another pause. We need to tell Elon the truth about what really happened in 1974. The room seemed to tilt. May set down her teacup with shaking hands. Errol, we agreed. We agreed never to. I know what we agreed. His voice cracked. But I'm 79 years old now, May. I don't have forever. And Elon deserves to know. He spent his whole life trying to reach the stars. Don't you think he should know why? May stood up and walked to the window. Down below, life continued. People buying coffee, students rushing to class. The world kept spinning just like it had for 50 years, but some secrets were too heavy to keep spinning with you forever. What did you find? She whispered. Her flight log, the real one from those last weeks. Errol's voice dropped even lower. And May, there are pages we never saw before, pages about what she saw out there in the desert, about the lights. May's breath caught in her throat. The lights. They had never talked about the lights, not in 50 years. That was part of the agreement. I also found letters, Errol continued. Letters she wrote to Elon. She wrote them before that last flight. She must have known something might happen. Letters to Elon. May pressed her hand against the cold window. But he was only 3 years old. I know, but she wrote them anyway. for him to read when he was older, letters about why she had to go, about what she was looking for. Errol's voice broke completely now. May, she knew she might not come back, and she went anyway. Tears ran down May's face. She didn't wipe them away. Have you told him? Have you told Elon? Not yet. I wanted to talk to you first. We're his parents. We should tell him together. May thought about her son. Elon was 53 now, a father himself, one of the most famous people in the world. He built rockets that flew to space. He made electric cars. He dreamed bigger than anyone she had ever known, except for one person, except for Win. Does Kimball know? May asked, thinking of her middle child. Does Tosca? No, this is about Elon. It's always been about Elon. May knew he was right. Win had loved all her grandchildren, but there had been something special between her and little Elon, a connection, an understanding, like they could see the same invisible things. Tell me about the letters, May said quietly. She heard papers rustling on Errol's end. Then he began to read. My dearest Elon, you are only 3 years old as I write this. You won't understand these words for many years, but one day you will be old enough. One day you will ask questions about where I went, about why I flew away and never came back. Errol's voice shook. He cleared his throat and kept reading. I want you to know that I didn't leave because I didn't love you. I left because I loved you so much that I needed to find answers to the biggest questions. Questions about what else is out there. Questions about whether we are alone. Questions about what we could become if we were brave enough to look up instead of down. May sank into her chair. She remembered that day. December 12, 1974, a hot summer day in Pretoria. Win had come to say goodbye before her flight. She had held little Elon in her lap. She had whispered something in his ear. He had nodded seriously like he understood. What had she told him? There's more, Errol said. He kept reading. I have seen things in the desert sky, Elon. Things that dance and shimmer. Things that move with purpose. I have taken photographs. I have made recordings. I have tried to tell people, but they think I am a crazy old woman with too much sun in her brain. But you, my darling boy, you will understand. You have the eyes of someone who sees what others miss. You have the heart of an explorer. The rain fell harder now. Thunder rumbled far away. If I don't come back from this flight, remember this. The sky is not a ceiling. It is a door, and someone needs to open it. Someone needs to be brave enough to go through. I think that someone might be you. So reach high, my little Elon. Reach so high that you touch the stars. And when you do, know that somewhere, somehow, I am reaching with you. Errol stopped reading. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the rain and their breathing. We told everyone she died in a crash, May finally said. We told them her plane went down, that they found wreckage, that there was nothing left to bury. I know. But that's not what happened, is it, Errol? Silence. Errol, tell me the truth right now. What really happened to my mother? She heard him take a deep breath, then another. Then he spoke words that changed everything. They found her plane, May, 2 weeks after she disappeared. A search team found it in the Kalahari, about 200 miles from where she was supposed to be. But May, she wasn't in it. May's world tilted again. What do you mean she wasn't in it? I mean the plane was there. It had landed, not crashed, landed, gently, in the middle of nowhere. The wheels were down, the engine was off, everything looked normal, except Win wasn't there. Then where was she? I don't know, but they found her flight jacket, folded neatly on the pilot's seat, and underneath it was a note, written in her handwriting. What did it say? Errol's voice became very quiet, very careful. It said, I'm going to see what's out there. Tell my grandson the stars are closer than we think. Love, Win. May couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The room spun around her. The government asked us not to tell anyone, Errol continued. They said it would cause panic, questions they couldn't answer. They said it was better to say she died on impact. Better for everyone, so we did. We lied for 50 years. "Oh my God," May whispered. "Oh my God, Errol." "I know." "Elon, we have to tell Elon." "Yes." "He needs to know that his grandmother, that she," May couldn't finish the sentence. She didn't even know how to finish it. That she what? Disappeared, was taken, chose to leave. "When should we tell him?" Errol asked. May looked at the photograph on her table. Wynn smiled back at her, young and brave and ready for anything. "Soon," May said. "We tell him soon. He's been looking for her his whole life. He's been building rockets to chase the same stars she chased. He deserves to know the truth." "There's one more thing," Errol said. "What?" "In the trunk with the letters and the flight log, there was something else." "What was it?" "A star chart with coordinates marked on it, and numbers, some kind of code." May's heart pounded. "Do you know what the coordinates point to?" "Not exactly, but May, they don't point to anywhere on Earth." Thunder cracked outside. The rain poured down. "I'm coming to South Africa," May said suddenly. "I'm booking a flight today. We need to look at everything together. Then we go to Elon together. Like you said, we're his parents." "Okay," Errol said softly. "Okay, come home, May." She almost laughed. Home. She hadn't thought of South Africa as home in decades. But maybe some places stayed home forever, no matter how far you flew away. "I'll call you when I land," she said. "May." "Yes." "I'm sorry. I'm sorry we kept this secret for so long. I'm sorry I wasn't a better husband, a better father. I'm sorry for a lot of things." May closed her eyes. "I'm sorry too, Errol, for all of it, but maybe we can do this one thing right. Maybe we can give our son the truth." "Yes," he said, "maybe we can." They said goodbye. May set down her phone. Her hands were still shaking. She picked up the photograph of her mother. Wynn looked so young in the picture, so full of life and dreams. Had she known even then? Had she known she would one day choose the sky over everything else? "I miss you, Mama," May whispered to the photograph. "And I'm so angry at you, but I understand. I think I finally understand." She thought about Elon, her brilliant, difficult, beautiful son, the boy who never stopped reaching, the man who built rockets to touch the stars. He had been chasing his grandmother his whole life, and now he would finally know why she was worth chasing. Outside, the rain began to slow. The clouds started to break apart. Through the gap, May could see a patch of blue sky. Somewhere up there, beyond the clouds, beyond the atmosphere, beyond everything they knew, maybe Wynn was still flying. Maybe she had found what she was looking for, or maybe she was still searching. Either way, her grandson was coming to find her. And nothing, not time, not distance, not even the sky itself, was going to stop him. Pretoria, South Africa, summer 1979. The grass in the backyard was yellow and dry. Summer in South Africa was hot, the kind of hot that made the air shimmer and dance. 5-year-old Elon Musk sat cross-legged on the brown lawn, his face tilted up toward the sky. It was late afternoon. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink and purple. Soon the stars would come out. Elon was waiting for them. He was always waiting for them. "Elon," his mother called from the back door. "Come inside, darling. Time for dinner." Elon didn't move. He kept staring up. May Musk walked across the lawn. Her son was so still he could have been a statue. She knelt down beside him and touched his shoulder gently. "Elon, did you hear me?" That's when she saw the tears. They ran down his cheeks in silent streams, leaving clean tracks through the dust on his face. "Oh, sweetheart," May pulled him close. "Why are you crying?" Elon didn't answer right away. He just pointed up at the sky. The first star had appeared, a bright one shining alone in the darkening blue. "That one," he whispered. "That's Grandma Wynn's star." May's heart broke a little. It had been 5 years since her mother had disappeared. 5 years since that December day when Wynne had kissed little Elon goodbye and climbed into her plane. Elon had been so young, barely 3 years old. May had hoped he wouldn't remember much, but he remembered everything. "Why did she go away?" Elon asked. His voice was so small. "Why didn't she come back?" May pulled him into her lap. He was getting big now, long arms and legs, but he still fit perfectly in her arms like he always had. "She had an accident, baby. Her plane crashed. Remember, we talked about this." "But where is she now?" May looked up at the stars. More were appearing now, dotting the sky like tiny holes poked in dark paper. "She's in heaven, sweetheart, looking down on us." Elon shook his head hard. "No, she's up there in the stars. She told me she would be." "What do you mean she told you?" "Before she left, she whispered it in my ear." Elon touched his ear like he could still feel her breath. "She said, 'I'm going to fly higher than the clouds, higher than the moon, and when you look up at night, I'll be there watching you. The stars are closer than you think, little one.'" May felt tears sting her own eyes. That sounded exactly like something her mother would say. Wynne had always been full of dreams and poetry. She saw magic where other people saw only science. "She promised she'd take me flying," Elon continued. His tears fell faster now. "She promised. We were going to fly together when I got bigger. She was going to show me the clouds from the top, but now I'll never get to go." "Oh, Elon." "I miss her, Mama. I miss her so much it hurts." He pressed his hand to his chest. "Right here, like something heavy is sitting on me." May held him tighter. She understood that feeling. She felt it too. Her mother had been her best friend, her hero, the bravest person she had ever known, and now she was gone, just gone. "I know, baby, I miss her too." They sat together as the sky grew darker and more stars appeared. Elon counted them under his breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. He always counted them, every night. "Can I tell you a secret?" Elon asked quietly. "Of course." Sometimes I can still hear her. In my head, her voice. May felt a chill despite the warm evening. "What does she say?" "She says, 'Keep looking up, Elon, keep looking up and don't stop dreaming.'" He turned his face to May. His eyes were so serious, so old for such a young child. "Do you think I'm crazy?" "No, sweetheart, I don't think you're crazy. I think you loved her very much. And love doesn't just disappear when someone goes away." Elon nodded slowly. Then he turned back to the stars. "Someday," he said, "I'm going to go up there. I'm going to fly like Grandma Wynne, and I'm going to find her." May didn't know what to say to that, so she just held him and let him look at the stars. 3 years earlier, December 1974. Little Elon was only 3 years old, but he already knew he loved flying. Every week, his grandmother Wynne would take him to the small airport outside Pretoria. She kept her Beechcraft plane there, in a hangar that smelled like oil and metal and adventure. "Come on, little man," Wynne would say, lifting him up. "Let's go touch the sky." She would strap him into the co-pilot seat. The straps were big on his small body, but she made sure they were tight and safe. Then she would climb into the pilot seat beside him, her leather jacket creaking, her hands confident on the controls. "Are you ready?" she'd ask. "Ready," Elon would shout, and then they would fly. The ground would drop away below them. Houses became toy houses. Cars became ants. People disappeared completely. There was just the sky, endless and blue and beautiful. Wynne would point out the clouds. "See that one? It looks like a dragon, and that one looks like a castle." Elon would press his face to the window, trying to see everything at once. The world was so big from up here, so much bigger than it looked from the ground. "Why do you love flying, Grandma?" he asked once. Wynne thought about it for a moment. The plane hummed around them. The propeller spun in circles, pulling them forward through the air. "Because up here I'm free," she said finally. "Down on the ground there are so many rules, So many people telling you what you can and can't do. But up here I make my own rules. I go where I want. I see things most people never see. Like what? Like the curve of the earth, like storms before they arrive, like the way the sun sets twice, once on the ground, once in the sky. She smiled at him. And sometimes I see other things too. What other things? Wynn's smile changed. It became more mysterious. Things that dance in the sky, lights that move in ways they shouldn't, things that make me wonder if we're really alone up here. Elon didn't understand all her words, but he understood the feeling in her voice. Wonder, that's what it was. A sense that the world was bigger and stranger and more magical than most people thought. I want to fly forever, Elon announced. Wynn laughed. It was a big, warm laugh that filled the small cockpit. Maybe you will, little one. Maybe you will. She reached over and tousled his hair. You know what I love most about you, Elon? What? You ask the best questions. Most kids your age ask why about everything, but you ask how and what if. Those are the questions that change the world. Elon didn't know what she meant exactly, but he liked it. He liked that his grandmother thought his questions were special. Grandma. Yes, darling. Can we come back tomorrow? We'll come back as often as we can, Wynn promised. Until you're old enough to fly the plane yourself, and then you'll take me flying. Elon liked that idea. He would fly the plane and Grandma Wynn would be in the seat beside him, and they would go higher and higher until they touched the stars. That was the plan, but plans don't always work out. Back to 1979. In the years after Wynn disappeared, the Musk family fell apart in slow motion. May and Errol fought more and more. Angry voices through walls, doors slamming, silence that felt worse than shouting. In 1980, they finally divorced. The family that had once been whole split into pieces. May got a small apartment in Pretoria. She took her modeling jobs where she could find them. She tried to keep smiling for her 3 children, Elon, Kimball, and little Tosca. But it was hard. Everything was hard. The strangest thing happened after the divorce. Elon chose to live with his father. Everyone was surprised. Errol wasn't warm like May. He wasn't gentle. He had a temper. He could be cold and critical. Why would Elon choose him? Are you sure, sweetheart? May asked when Elon told her. You can live with me. I want you with me. But Elon shook his head. He was 8 years old now. His face was serious and determined. I need to stay with Dad, he said. Why? Elon looked at the floor. He has Grandma's stuff, all her things from before, her maps and her books and her flight logs. I need to be where her things are. And that's when May understood. Her son wasn't choosing his father. He was choosing his grandmother or the memory of her. He was staying close to the only pieces of Wynn that were left. So Elon moved into Errol's big house in Waterkloof. It was a beautiful house on a hill with views of the city and gates to keep people out, but it felt empty, cold. At night, when Errol was asleep, Elon would sneak into the storage room. This was where Errol kept all of Wynn's belongings. Boxes and trunks and cases. A whole life packed away in a dark room. Elon would close the door quietly behind him. He'd turn on a small flashlight, and then he would explore. He found Wynn's flight logs, thick notebooks filled with her handwriting, dates and times and locations, weather conditions, notes about what she saw. He couldn't understand all of it, but he read every word anyway, tracing the letters with his finger. He found her maps. Big paper maps of South Africa, Botswana, Namibia. She had marked routes on them in red pen, flight paths crisscrossing the desert. Some of the routes had stars drawn beside them, little 5-pointed stars. Elon wondered what they meant. He found photographs. Wynn standing beside her plane, Wynn in her leather jacket, Wynn laughing with other pilots, and stranger photos, 2 pictures of the sky at night, dark photos with blurry spots of light. What was she photographing? One night, Elon found something he'd never seen before. A small wooden box at the bottom of a trunk. Inside was a compass, a pocket watch, and a letter. The letter was in an envelope with his name on it, Elon. His hands shook as he opened it. The paper inside was covered in Wynn's familiar handwriting. It was dated December 11th, 1974, one day before she disappeared. "My darling Elon," it began. Elon read it by flashlight, his heart pounding. The letter talked about flying, about dreams, about never being afraid to ask big questions. It talked about loving someone so much that you had to go searching for answers, even if it meant leaving them behind for a while. At the end, Wynn had written, "I may not be there to watch you grow up, but I want you to know something important. You are special, Elon. You see the world differently than other people. Don't ever lose that. Don't ever stop asking what if. The world needs people who ask what if. And someday you're going to change everything. I know it. I feel it in my bones. Fly high, little one. Fly so high that you leave the ground behind. With all my love, Grandma Wynn." Elon read the letter 3 times. Then he folded it carefully and put it in his pocket. He kept it there every day. When things were hard, and they were often hard, he would touch his pocket and remember. His grandmother believed in him. She thought he was special. He wouldn't let her down. Even if it took his whole life, he would fly high enough to find her. He would reach the stars. He promised. Pretoria, South Africa, October 2024. Elon Musk sat in his study, surrounded by ghosts. Not real ghosts, but the kind that lived in old photographs and dusty boxes. The kind that whispered from yellowed papers and faded ink. The kind that never really left you alone. He was 79 years old now. His hands shook when he poured his morning coffee. His knees ached when he climbed stairs. Time was running out, and he knew it. On the desk in front of him sat an old leather trunk. Dark brown, cracked with age, covered in travel stickers from places that didn't exist anymore. Rhodesia, Southwest Africa, names from a different world, a different time. This trunk had belonged to Wynn Haldeman, his former mother-in-law, the woman who had taught him about courage even though he'd never learned the lesson well enough. Errol had opened this trunk 1,000 times over 50 years. He knew every item inside, every photograph, every letter, every small treasure. Or so he'd thought. But yesterday something had shifted. A false bottom in the trunk had come loose, and underneath, Errol had found a hidden compartment he'd never known existed. Inside were things that changed everything. He reached for his phone. His finger hovered over May's number. They hadn't spoken in so long. Would she even answer? Would she hang up the moment she heard his voice? There was only one way to find out. He pressed the button and waited. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello." Her voice transported him back 50 years. Young May, beautiful May, the woman he'd loved and lost and hurt in ways he could never take back. "May," he said, "it's Errol." The conversation that followed was hard, painful, necessary. He told her about the trunk, about what he'd found, about the truth they needed to tell their son. When they finally hung up, Errol sat in silence for a long time. Then he opened the hidden compartment again and carefully removed its contents. First, Wynn's flight log from 1974, not the official one, the real one. He opened it to a page marked with a red ribbon. The entry was dated November 20th, 1974. 3 weeks before Wynn disappeared. He began to read. Wynn's flight log, November 20, 1974. Flew north into the Kalahari today. Same route as last week. Left at dawn, returned at sunset. Total flight time 6 hours, 14 minutes. I saw them again. This time there were 3 of them, not clouds, not weather balloons, not reflections or tricks of light. I've been flying for 35 years. I know what belongs in the sky and what doesn't. These don't belong. They moved in formation, perfect triangles. They shifted from hovering to rapid acceleration in ways that defy physics. No sound, no exhaust, no visible means of propulsion. I took photographs, 17 total. I don't know if they'll show anything. The objects seem to shimmer like they're not quite solid, like they exist halfway between here and somewhere else. I radioed the tower, asked if they saw anything on radar. They said no. Nothing but my plane, but I wasn't alone up there. I know what I saw. This is the fourth sighting in 2 months. Each time they appear in the same general area. About 40 miles north of the Makgadikgadi salt pans. Always at sunset or sunrise, always when the light is changing. I think they're trying to communicate, or maybe they're just observing, watching us the way we might watch ants building a colony. James thinks I'm losing my mind. He says it's the sun, the isolation, my age, but I'm not crazy. I'm a scientist, for God's sake. I know how to observe and record data. I'm going back next week. This time I'll fly closer. Errol closed the log and rubbed his eyes. He'd read this entry dozens of times in the past day. Each time it made his chest feel tight. Wynn hadn't been crazy. She'd seen something real enough that she'd documented it carefully, something important enough that she'd risked everything to investigate. He pulled out the next item from the hidden compartment, a stack of photographs bound with string. The photos were grainy, taken from a distance. Most showed only empty sky. But 3 of them showed something else, dark shapes against the sunset, triangular forms that seemed to catch the light in impossible ways. Errol had shown these photos to a friend who worked in aerospace. The friend had gone pale. "Where did you get these?" the friend had asked. "My mother-in-law took them in 1974, before she died." The friend had examined them more closely. "These don't look like any aircraft I know, not from that era, not from any era." "What are you saying?" The friend had handed back the photos carefully, like they might burn him. "I'm saying your mother-in-law photographed something that shouldn't exist, and I'm saying you should be very careful who you show these to." Now Errol set the photos aside and reached for the final item, the one that had made him call May, the one that had kept him awake all night. Letters, 3 of them, sealed in envelopes addressed in Wynn's handwriting. The first envelope said, "To Elon, to be opened when he's old enough to understand." The second said, "To May, if I don't return." The third said, "To whoever finds this, the truth about December 12, 1974. Errol had only opened the third letter, the one meant for anyone. Reading the others felt like a violation, even after 50 years. Those words belonged to May and Elon, not to him. But the third letter explained everything. His hands shook as he unfolded it again. Wynn's handwriting covered both sides of the paper, clear and steady, even though she must have known she was writing her last words. He read it out loud to the empty room. His voice cracked on every other word. Wynn's letter, December 11, 1974. To whoever reads this. My name is Winifred Josephine Haldeman. I am 65 years old. I am a pilot, a mother, a grandmother, and a woman who has spent her life asking questions that most people are afraid to ask. Tomorrow, December 12th, I will fly into the Kalahari Desert one final time. I don't expect to return, not because I plan to crash, not because I'm suicidal, but because I believe I've been invited somewhere and I intend to accept the invitation. Over the past 3 months, I have witnessed phenomena in the desert sky that defy conventional explanation. Craft that move in ways our technology cannot replicate. Lights that seem to respond to my presence. Patterns that feel like language. 3 days ago, something changed. During my last flight, one of the objects came close. Very close. Close enough that I could see it clearly. It was beautiful, geometric, like someone had carved a diamond out of starlight. It hovered beside my plane for nearly 10 minutes. I wasn't afraid. I felt calm, welcomed. Then I heard something, not through my radio, in my mind, a feeling more than words, an invitation, a question. Do you want to understand? I said yes, out loud, into my empty cockpit. Yes, I want to understand. The craft pulled away and disappeared, but I knew I knew they were offering me a choice: stay on the ground with the life I've known, or fly one more time and go somewhere new. I'm choosing to fly. I know this will be hard on my family. I know my daughter will grieve. I know my grandchildren will grow up without me. But I also know that some questions are more important than comfort. Some answers are worth everything. I'm doing this for me, but I'm also doing it for them, for Elon especially. That boy has a light in his eyes that I've never seen before. He sees beyond. He dreams beyond. And one day he'll fly beyond too. If I can prove that there's something more out there, maybe it will help him. Maybe it will give him permission to dream as big as his heart wants to dream. My plane will be found. I've arranged it that way. The authorities will find it landed safely in a predetermined location. They'll find this letter under the pilot's seat along with my flight jacket and my research notes. They'll also find a request: please tell my family I died in a crash. Tell them it was quick and painless. Don't tell them about the invitation. Don't tell them I chose to leave. It will be easier for them to grieve a tragedy than a choice. But someday, when enough time has passed, someone should tell them the truth. Someone should tell Elon. Tell him his grandmother didn't die. She transformed. She accepted an invitation to see what exists beyond the edges of our understanding. Tell him the stars are closer than we think. Tell him to keep reaching. And tell him that wherever I am, whatever I become, I'm watching. I'm proud. And I'm waiting to see just how high he can fly. With love and wonder, Wynne Haldeman, December 11, 1974, Errol's voice died away. The study was silent except for the ticking of an old clock on the wall. He folded the letter carefully and put it back in its envelope. His face was wet. When had he started crying? 50 years. They'd kept the secret for 50 years. And for what? To protect people from the truth, to make grief simpler, but grief was never simple, and the truth had a way of demanding to be told eventually. Errol thought about his son. Elon, who built rockets. Elon, who talked about Mars like other people talked about taking a vacation. Elon, who seemed driven by something bigger than ambition or money. Now Errol understood why. Elon wasn't trying to leave Earth because he hated it. He was trying to reach something, someone, a grandmother who had promised to be among the stars, and she had kept her promise. Errol picked up his phone again. May had said she was flying to South Africa. She'd be here in 2 days. Then they would decide together how to tell Elon. But there was something else. Something the letter mentioned that Errol hadn't told May about yet. Something that made this even more urgent. Wynne's research notes. The ones she'd mentioned leaving with the plane. What had happened to those notes? The official report said nothing about research notes. Nothing about photographs or documentation. The report said only that Wynne's plane had been found, that she had clearly died on impact, and that her body had been lost to scavengers. All lies. Comfortable lies wrapped in official language. But where were the notes? Where were the photographs? Where was the evidence Wynne had spent months collecting? Someone had taken them. Someone had hidden the truth, and Errol was going to find out who. He stood up slowly, his joints protesting. He walked to the window and looked out at Pretoria. The city spread below him, golden in the afternoon light. Somewhere out there, beyond the city, beyond the country, beyond the planet, his former mother-in-law was living a life he couldn't imagine. And his son was building the bridge to reach her. "I'm sorry, Wynne," Errol whispered to the window. "I'm sorry we lied. I'm sorry we were cowards, but I'm going to fix it. I'm going to tell him everything." The clock ticked. The sun moved across the sky, and in his study full of ghosts, an old man prepared to tell the truth. Finally, Pretoria, South Africa, 1981. 7-year-old Elon Musk didn't fit in anywhere. Not at home, where his father's moods changed like the weather. Not at school, where the other kids thought he was weird. Not even in his own head, where thoughts moved too fast and dreams grew too big. He lived with Errol now in the big house on the hill. His younger brother Kimball came to visit on weekends. His baby sister Tosca was still with their mother. The family was split into pieces, like a puzzle someone had dropped on the floor. Elon didn't mind living with his father, not really. Errol was strict and sometimes cold. He expected perfection. He didn't give many hugs, but he had something Elon needed more than hugs. He had Grandma Wynn's things. Every night after dinner, when Errol went to his workshop or sat in his study reading papers, Elon would slip away to the storage room. It was at the end of a long hallway, past the guest bedrooms nobody used. The room smelled like old paper and dust and memories. Elon would close the door quietly behind him, turn on the small lamp in the corner, and sit down among the boxes. This was where he felt closest to her, to Grandma Wynn, to the person who had understood him better than anyone. Tonight he pulled out one of her flight logs. The leather cover was soft and worn. He opened to a random page and read by lamplight. June 3, 1972. Flew to Johannesburg and back. Beautiful clear day. Saw an eagle flying beside the plane for nearly 5 minutes. It looked right at me like it was trying to tell me something. Maybe it was saying, "You belong up here. This is where you're meant to be." Elon smiled. He loved the way his grandmother wrote, like the world was full of magic and meaning, like everything was trying to tell you secrets if you just paid attention. He flipped through more pages, looking at her maps and notes. She had drawn stars on certain pages, little 5-pointed stars in red ink. He'd noticed them before but never understood what they meant. Now he counted them. 17 stars total, scattered through the last year of entries. What were they marking? Special flights. Special places. Special sightings. Elon traced one of the stars with his finger. His grandmother had touched this same page. Her hand had been right here, drawing this exact star. The thought made him feel less alone. "Elon," his father's voice boomed from downstairs. "What are you doing up there? It's past your bedtime." Elon quickly closed the flight log and put it back in its box. "Coming." He turned off the lamp and hurried downstairs. Errol stood at the bottom of the stairs, arms crossed. He was a big man with strong arms and a hard face. He looked angry, but then again, he often looked angry. "How many times do I have to tell you, stay out of that room? Those things are old and fragile. You'll damage them." "I'm careful," Elon said quietly. "I don't hurt anything." "That's not the point. The point is you should be sleeping, not digging through boxes of old junk." "It's not junk." The words burst out before Elon could stop them. "It's Grandma's things. It's important." Errol's face went dark. For a moment, Elon thought he might yell, or worse, but instead, Errol just sighed and rubbed his eyes. "Go to bed, Elon. We'll talk about this tomorrow." Elon went to his room, but he didn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about his grandmother, wondering where she was now, wondering if she ever thought about him. Probably not. Dead people didn't think. That's what everyone said. But sometimes, late at night, Elon wasn't sure he believed them. Bryanston High School, 1983. By the time Elon was 9 years old, school had become a battlefield. He'd started at Bryanston High School, a private school that was supposed to be good. His father paid a lot of money for him to go there, but money couldn't buy friends, and it definitely couldn't buy safety. The problem was that Elon was different. He was small for his age, skinny, awkward. He read books during lunch instead of playing rugby. He asked questions in class that made teachers uncomfortable. He stared off into space like he was somewhere else entirely. The other boys noticed, and they didn't like it. There was a group of them, older boys, bigger boys. They had names like Johan and Pieter and Hendrik. They wore their school uniforms with the sleeves rolled up to show their muscles. They walked through the hallways like they owned them. And they decided that Elon Musk needed to be taught a lesson. It started small, shoving him in the hallway, knocking his books out of his hands, calling him names. Weirdo. Space case, little freak. Elon tried to ignore them. He'd read once that bullies got bored if you didn't react, so he picked up his books without saying anything. He kept his head down. He tried to become invisible, but invisible was hard when you were Elon Musk. One day in the schoolyard, Johan cornered him near the fence. 3 other boys stood behind Johan, blocking any escape. "Hey, freak," Johan said. He was 13, big for his age, with mean eyes. "I heard your grandmother was crazy. Is that true? Did she go crazy and crash her plane?" Elon's hands clenched into fists. "Don't talk about her." "Why not? It's true, isn't it? She was crazy, and you're crazy too. That's why you're always staring at nothing. It runs in the family." "Shut up." Elon's voice shook. Johan smiled. He liked getting a reaction. "What are you going to do about it, little freak? You going to cry? You going to run home to daddy? Leave me alone." "Or what?" Elon didn't have an answer. He was 9 years old and weighed maybe 30 kilograms. Johan could break him in half without trying, but Elon couldn't just stand there. He couldn't let someone talk about Grandma win like that, so he did something stupid. He swung at Johan's face, his fist connected with Johan's nose. There was a satisfying crunch. Johan stumbled backward, blood pouring from his nostrils. For one beautiful second, Elon felt like a hero. Then Johan's friends grabbed him. What happened next was a blur of pain, fists hitting his face, kicks to his stomach. Someone grabbed his arms while someone else punched him in the ribs over and over until Elon couldn't breathe, until the world went fuzzy at the edges. "That's enough," a teacher shouted from across the yard. "Stop it, now." The boys scattered. Elon collapsed to the ground, gasping. His mouth tasted like blood. His ribs felt like they were on fire. Everything hurt. The teacher helped him to the nurse's office. They called his father. Errol came to pick him up, his face tight with anger. In the car, Errol didn't ask if Elon was okay. He asked, "What did you do to provoke them?" "Nothing," Elon whispered. "They were saying things about Grandma." "So you hit one of them. That was stupid, Elon. You're small. You can't win fights with your fists." "Then how do I win?" Errol was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You get smarter, you get stronger. You wait until you're bigger than they are. Then you show them who you really are." Elon didn't say anything. He just looked out the window and tried not to cry. That night he snuck back to the storage room. He sat among his grandmother's boxes and read her letters by lamplight. The one she'd written to him. The one that said he was special, that he would change the world. "I don't feel special," he whispered to the empty room. "I feel small and weak and stupid." But Grandma Win's words looked back at him from the page. "You see the world differently than other people. Don't ever lose that." Elon touched the letter carefully. Then he made himself a promise. One day he would be bigger, stronger, smarter. One day people like Johan wouldn't be able to touch him. One day he would build something so big and so important that everyone would have to pay attention. He didn't know what yet, but he would figure it out. He had to. Pretoria Boys High School, 1984. The next year, Elon changed schools. Pretoria Boys High School was supposed to be better, more academic, less violence. It wasn't. The bullying continued. Different boys, same story. Elon was still small, still weird, still didn't fit in. One afternoon, a group of boys found him in the stairwell between classes. He was carrying his books, lost in thought about a computer program he was writing at home. He didn't see them until it was too late. "Watch out, space boy," someone shouted. Hands shoved his back. Hard. Elon fell forward. His books flew from his hands. His body tumbled down the concrete stairs. 1 step, 2 steps, 5 steps, 10. He tried to catch himself but couldn't. His head bounced off a step. His shoulder slammed into the wall, his knee twisted wrong. Finally, he stopped at the bottom of the staircase. He lay there, unable to move. His vision was blurry. His ears were ringing. Pain shot through every part of his body. Teachers rushed over. An ambulance was called. Elon was loaded onto a stretcher, still barely conscious. At the hospital, doctors said he had a concussion, bruised ribs, a sprained knee. He'd be okay, but he needed to rest for several weeks. Errol picked him up from the hospital. For once, he looked worried instead of angry. Who did this? Errol asked. I don't know, I didn't see them. That's not good enough, Elon. You need to learn to defend yourself. You need to be tougher. Elon closed his eyes. He was tired of hearing about being tougher. He was tired of everything. At home, he lay in bed for days. His body hurt, his head hurt, his heart hurt, but the worst pain wasn't physical. The worst pain was the feeling that he didn't belong anywhere, not at school, not at home, not on Earth. Late at night, when the pain kept him awake, he would look out his window at the stars. There were millions of them, scattered across the African sky like diamond dust. Grandma Win got away, he whispered to the darkness. She found a way out. She went somewhere better. And suddenly, Elon knew what he had to do. He couldn't fight the bullies with his fists. He couldn't make them like him. He couldn't change who he was, but he could leave. Not now, not yet, but someday. Someday he would build something that could take him away from this place. Away from the people who hurt him. Away from Earth itself if he had to. He would build a ship, or a rocket, or something no one had thought of yet. He would go higher than anyone had ever gone before. High enough to find his grandmother. High enough to touch the stars. I just need to survive until then, he told himself. I just need to stay alive long enough to build it. So he made a new promise. He would survive. No matter how hard they hit him, no matter how much it hurt, he would survive and he would build and he would leave. And one day, all those boys who pushed him downstairs would look up at the sky and see his rockets flying past. They would know his name, and they would know they'd been wrong about him. Elon closed his eyes and let that thought comfort him. It was the only comfort he had. Outside, the stars watched and waited. New York City, October 2024. May Musk sat on her apartment floor, surrounded by photographs she hadn't looked at in 30 years. After Errol's phone call, she'd pulled out the old boxes from the back of her closet. The ones she'd carried from South Africa to Canada to America. The ones she'd moved from apartment to apartment but never opened. Now they lay scattered around her like pieces of a broken past. There was a photo of Win standing beside her Beechcraft plane, squinting into the sun. Another of young Elon on Win's lap, both of them laughing. One of the whole family at Christmas 1973, the last Christmas before everything changed. May picked up that Christmas photo. Everyone looked so happy, so innocent. Nobody knew what was coming. Nobody knew that in 1 year Win would be gone and their family would shatter like glass. Her phone buzzed. A text from the airline. Her flight to Johannesburg was confirmed. She'd leave tomorrow morning. In 24 hours, she'd be back in South Africa for the first time in 5 years. Back to face the truth she'd been running from for 50 years. May set down the photo and pressed her hands to her face. The guilt that lived inside her chest, the guilt she'd carried for half a century, felt heavier than ever. Because she had a secret too. One she'd never told anyone. Not Errol, not her children, not even herself most days. She hadn't just failed to stop her mother from taking that final flight. She'd pushed her toward it. Pretoria, South Africa, December 12, 1974. The morning had been beautiful, clear blue sky. No clouds, perfect flying weather. May had driven to her parents' house early. She'd brought little Elon with her. He was 3 years old, chubby-cheeked and full of questions. He loved visiting Grandma Win's house because she always had cookies and stories and time to listen. Win was in the garage, checking her plane's equipment. She wore her leather flight jacket, even though it was hot. Her silver hair was pulled back in a practical bun. She looked strong and capable and completely sure of herself. "Good morning, darling," Win said when she saw May. She scooped up Elon and spun him around. "And good morning to my favorite little pilot." Elon giggled. "Are you flying today, Grandma?" "I am indeed. One more trip into the desert." "Can I come?" "Not today, sweetheart. This is a long flight, but next time I promise." May set her purse on the workbench. "Mom, can we talk alone?" Win saw the look on her daughter's face. She set Elon down and gave him a cookie from her pocket. Go play in the yard for a few minutes, little one. Mama and I need to chat. Elon ran off happily. May waited until he was out of earshot. Then she turned to her mother, arms crossed. You can't keep doing this. Doing what? These flights. These obsessive trips into the middle of nowhere, chasing lights in the sky like some kind of— May stopped herself before saying something cruel. Wynn's face hardened. Like some kind of what, May? Crazy person. I didn't say that. But you thought it. Wynn turned back to her equipment, checking gauges with practiced hands. Everyone thinks it. Your father thinks I've lost my mind. The pilots at the airport whisper about me. Even my own daughter thinks I'm delusional. That's not fair. I'm worried about you. These flights are dangerous. You're 65 years old, Mom. What if something happens? What if you crash out there and nobody finds you? I've been flying for 35 years. I know what I'm doing. That's not the point, May's voice rose. The point is you're a mother, a grandmother. You have people who need you. Elon adores you. And you're willing to risk your life for what? Lights that are probably just reflections or weather phenomena or— They're not reflections. Wynn's voice was quiet but firm. I know what I've seen, May. I've documented it, photographed it. These are real objects moving in ways that defy our understanding of physics. Then let someone else investigate, call the Air Force, call scientists, let experts handle it. Wynn laughed, but there was no humor in it. I've tried. Nobody believes me. They pat me on the head and tell me I've had too much sun. They treat me like a silly old woman with silly old woman ideas. So you're going to prove them wrong by flying alone into the desert. What if you don't come back? What am I supposed to tell your grandson? Wynn was quiet for a moment. She stopped fiddling with her equipment and looked directly at May. Her eyes were sad and fierce at the same time. Tell him I lived the life I chose. Tell him I followed my questions to the very end. Tell him that's what brave people do. Brave? It's not brave, Mom. It's reckless. It's selfish. The word hung in the air between them like poison. Wynn's face went pale. Selfish. Yes, selfish. You're choosing these lights, these mysteries over your own family, over people who love you. That's the definition of selfish. I love my family more than anything. Then prove it. Stay on the ground. Stop these flights. Be a grandmother to Elon. He needs you. I need you. Wynn turned away. Her shoulders were tight. When she spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. May, I've lived a good life. I've been a wife, a mother, an adventurer. I've seen more of this world than most people dream of seeing. But there's something out there, something calling me. And if I don't answer, if I don't follow this to the end, I'll regret it for whatever time I have left. You're talking like you're not coming back. Maybe I won't. The words hit May like a slap. What? Wynn finally turned around. Her eyes were wet with tears. I've seen things, May, things that have changed how I understand reality. And I think they're offering me something. A choice. A chance to see beyond. Beyond what? Beyond everything we know. Beyond the limits of this life. Wynn stepped closer and took May's hands. I know it sounds crazy. I know you don't understand, but I need you to trust me. I need you to believe that I know what I'm doing. May pulled her hands away. She was crying now too, angry tears that she couldn't stop. I can't watch you do this. I can't watch you throw your life away for some fantasy. Then don't watch. Wynn's voice was cold now, distant. Go home, May. Take Elon and go home. I have a flight to prepare for. Mom. Go. They stared at each other. Two women who loved each other but couldn't understand each other. Not about this. Not about something so big and strange and impossible. Finally, May turned and walked away. She called for Elon. He came running from the yard, cookie crumbs on his face. "Say goodbye to Grandma," May said, her voice tight. "Bye, Grandma," Elon waved. "See you soon." Win knelt down and pulled him into a hug. She held him for a long time. Then she whispered something in his ear, something May couldn't hear. Elon nodded solemnly. "I promise, Grandma." Win kissed his forehead. Then she stood and looked at May one last time. "Tell him it's okay to follow the call," Win said softly. "Even if others don't understand. Tell him some dreams are worth everything." "Mom, please." "Goodbye, May. I love you. I've always loved you." Those were the last words they exchanged. May drove home with Elon chattering happily in the backseat. She made lunch. She folded laundry. She tried to pretend everything was normal, but her mother's words echoed in her head. "Maybe I won't come back." She should have called someone, should have stopped her, should have done something, anything to prevent what was about to happen, but she didn't. And 3 days later, they received the call. Win's plane had been found. Win was gone. New York City, October 2024, present day. May wiped tears from her face. 50 years later, and the guilt was still fresh, still sharp, still cutting her from the inside. She'd called her mother selfish. She'd been angry instead of understanding. She'd walked away instead of staying, and those had been their last moments together. "I'm sorry," May whispered to the photograph in her hand. "I'm so sorry, Mama. I didn't understand. I was scared and angry, and I said terrible things. I should have told you I loved you. I should have said I was proud of you. I should have." Her voice broke. She couldn't continue. The apartment was silent except for the sound of traffic below and her own ragged breathing. All these years, she told herself that Win had died in a crash, that it was an accident, that nobody could have prevented it. But now Errol was saying Win had left on purpose, had chosen to go, had planned it all, which meant May's last conversation with her mother had been even more important than she'd realized. Her mother had been saying goodbye, asking for understanding, asking for permission maybe, and May had given her anger instead. She thought about Elon, her brilliant, driven, impossible son, the way he worked himself to exhaustion, the way he pushed and pushed toward goals that seemed insane to everyone else, the way he never seemed satisfied, never seemed to rest. She'd done the same thing to him, hadn't she? When he'd said he wanted to build rockets, she'd worried. When he'd invested all his money in SpaceX, she'd been afraid. When he'd talked about Mars, she'd thought he was being unrealistic. She'd loved him, yes, but had she understood him? Had she supported his dreams the way he needed? Or had she done to Elon what she'd done to her mother, loved him but failed to see him? Her phone rang. She looked at the screen. It was Kimball, her middle son. "Hi, sweetheart," she answered, trying to keep her voice steady. "Mom, are you okay? You sound upset." "I'm fine, just thinking about old things." "Is this about going to South Africa? Elon mentioned Dad called you." May sat up straighter. "Elon knows." "A little. He said Dad found something of Grandma Win's, something important. Mom, what's going on?" May looked at the photographs scattered around her, at her mother's face, young and brave and full of dreams. "Your grandmother had secrets, Kimball, secrets we kept from all of you. And it's past time that we told the truth." "What kind of secrets?" "The kind that explain everything about her, about Elon, about why our family is the way it is." May took a deep breath. "I'm flying to Pretoria tomorrow. Your father and I need to talk, and then we need to talk to Elon, all of us together." "Should Tosca and I be there?" "Not yet. This is something we need to tell Elon first. He deserves that." Kimball was quiet for a moment. "This sounds serious, Mom." "It is, darling. It's the most serious thing I've ever had to do." She paused. "But it's also right. It's what should have been done 50 years ago." After they hung up, May began gathering the photographs. She packed them carefully in her suitcase. She would bring them to South Africa, show them to Errol, use them to help tell the story, the story of a woman who loved the stars more than safety, who chose mystery over comfort, who flew into the unknown and never looked back, and the story of a grandson who'd been chasing her ever since. "I'm coming home, Mama," May whispered. "I'm going to make this right for you, for Elon, for all of us." Outside her window, the New York sky was gray and clouded. No stars visible, but May knew they were there. Millions of them, billions, and somewhere among them maybe her mother was still flying, still dreaming, still free. Pretoria, South Africa, June 1989. Elon Musk was 17 years old the day his father finally gave him the star chart. He stood in the driveway of the Waterkloof house, a single suitcase at his feet. Inside that suitcase was everything he owned that mattered: clothes, a few books, his computer programming notes, and hidden at the very bottom, wrapped in cloth, the letter his grandmother had written him 15 years ago. Tomorrow he would leave South Africa forever, first to Canada to stay with relatives, then hopefully to America. To university, to a future that didn't include bullies or bad memories or his father's cold disappointment. "You have everything?" Errol asked. He stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets. He didn't look sad. He never looked sad. "Yes," Elon said. "Your mother will meet you at the airport. She's flying in from her modeling job." "I know." An awkward silence stretched between them. 17 years of distance that neither knew how to cross. Finally, Errol cleared his throat. "Wait here. There's something I need to give you." He disappeared into the house. Elon waited, shifting his weight from foot to foot. He was tall now, not the small boy who'd been pushed downstairs. He'd grown strong from hours in the gym, building the body that could protect him. But inside, part of him still felt like that scared 9-year-old. Errol returned carrying a large envelope, yellowed with age. He handed it to Elon without meeting his eyes. "This belonged to your grandmother. I've been keeping it for you. I think she'd want you to have it now." Elon took the envelope carefully. It was sealed with old tape that had gone brittle. "What is it?" "Open it when you're on the plane, not before." Errol's voice was rough. "And Elon, don't lose it, it's important. I don't know exactly how, but it is." They looked at each other. For a moment, Elon thought his father might hug him, or say he loved him, or something. But Errol just nodded once and went back inside. Elon stood alone in the driveway, holding the envelope. Inside, he could feel something flat and stiff. Paper, maybe, or cardboard. He wanted to rip it open right there. But his father had said to wait. And some part of Elon still wanted to obey, still wanted to earn approval that would never come. So he tucked the envelope into his carry-on bag and picked up his suitcase. He didn't look back at the house as he walked away. On the plane, June 1989. 6 hours into the flight, somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, Elon finally opened the envelope. The plane was dark. Most passengers were sleeping. Elon had a window seat, and he'd been staring out at the endless black ocean below, thinking about everything he was leaving behind. Now he pulled out the envelope and carefully peeled away the old tape. Inside was a star chart. Not a new one from a bookstore, but an old one, hand-drawn and marked up. The paper was thick and expensive, the kind that lasted decades. Someone had plotted stars and constellations with careful precision. And in the bottom right corner, in handwriting Elon would recognize anywhere, were the initials: WJH Winifred Josephine Haldeman, his grandmother. Elon's hand started shaking. He turned on the overhead reading light and examined the chart more closely. It showed a section of the southern sky. The constellations were labeled in Wynn's neat writing: Centaurus, Crux, Carina, Vela, all constellations visible from South Africa, but there were other markings too. Red circles around certain stars, blue lines connecting points that didn't follow any constellation pattern, and strange notations in the margins, numbers and abbreviations that didn't make immediate sense. Elon flipped the chart over. The back was covered in more of his grandmother's handwriting. His heart pounded as he began to read. December 10, 1974. 2 days before final flight. If anyone finds this, if Elon finds this, these are the coordinates. Not of a place on Earth, but of a direction in space. A specific point in the sky where I have observed repeated phenomena. Right ascension, 13H47M32's declination, 62 degrees 41'22". The objects appear most frequently at sunset and sunrise when the light is changing. They move from this direction, or toward it, I cannot tell which. I have recorded signal patterns. They may be natural, they may be random, or they may be intentional. Below are the frequencies I have detected, converted to numerical sequences. Below that were rows of numbers, long strings of digits that looked like nothing Elon had ever seen. 147, 258, 369, 700, and 41, 852, 963, 147, 258, 369. The pattern repeated several times, then changed. 112, 358, 13,000, 213, 21,000, 345, 534,000, 558. Elon stared at the numbers. They felt important, but he didn't know why. He didn't know what they meant or what he was supposed to do with them. He read on. I don't know if these numbers mean anything. I am not a mathematician. I am just a pilot who has seen impossible things and tried to record them as best I can. But Elon, my darling boy, if you're reading this, if you've grown into the brilliant young man I know you'll become, maybe you can decode what I could not. Maybe you can answer the questions I'm leaving behind. Where do they come from? What do they want? Are they trying to communicate? Find out, little one. Find out for both of us. The stars are closer than we think. All my love, Grandma Win. Elon read the letter 3 times. Then he stared at the numbers until they blurred. A flight attendant passed by. Can I get you anything, sir? Water, a blanket. No, thank you, I'm fine. But he wasn't fine. His mind was racing. His grandmother hadn't just disappeared on a random flight. She'd been investigating something, tracking something, trying to understand something that existed beyond normal human experience. And she'd left him a puzzle, a mystery, a treasure map written in numbers and coordinates. Elon pulled out a notebook from his bag and began to work. University of Pennsylvania, 1995. 6 years later, Elon sat in the library at Penn, surrounded by books on physics, astronomy, signal processing, and mathematics. He was 23 now, a dual major in economics and physics, smart enough that professors noticed him, driven enough that his classmates thought he was intense. The star chart had traveled with him everywhere, from Canada to Pennsylvania, from dorm room to apartment. It lived in a protective folder that he kept in his desk drawer. And for 6 years, he'd been trying to crack his grandmother's code. He'd tried everything: simple substitution ciphers, mathematical progressions, binary conversions, frequency analysis, pattern recognition algorithms he'd written himself. Nothing worked. The numbers remained stubbornly meaningless. But tonight, finally, something clicked. Elon had been studying the Fibonacci sequence in his physics class. The famous pattern where each number is the sum of the two before it. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. He'd seen those numbers before. Recently. Where? His eyes snapped to the star chart on his desk. 112, 358, 13,000, 213, 21,000, 345, 534,000, 858. Not random numbers. Fibonacci numbers compressed together. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 3, 21, 34, 5, 5, 34, 55, 8. His grandmother had been encoding a message using one of nature's most fundamental patterns, the same pattern that appeared in seashells and sunflowers and galaxies. But that was just the beginning. If the second sequence was Fibonacci, what about the first? 147, 258, 369, 700, and 41, 852, 963. Elon wrote the numbers vertically. 14725836974185293. Then he saw it, reading down each column 123789, 456456, 789123, a pattern, a sequence that repeated and shifted. But what did it mean? Elon grabbed his calculator and started working. He tried adding the numbers, multiplying them, looking for prime factors, mathematical relationships. Hours passed. The library emptied. The sun began to rise outside the windows. And suddenly at 6:47 a.m., Elon understood. The numbers weren't coordinates. They weren't a cipher. They were a frequency. When converted and combined properly, they formed an electromagnetic frequency, 1,424 megahertz. Elon's breath caught. 1,424 megahertz was the hydrogen line, the most common frequency in the universe, the frequency that hydrogen atoms emit naturally. The same frequency that SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, used to listen for alien signals. His grandmother hadn't been crazy. She'd been listening, actually listening. And she detected something on the hydrogen line coming from the coordinates she'd marked in the southern sky. Elon stood up so fast his chair fell over. Other students looked at him, annoyed. He didn't care. His grandmother had been tracking extraterrestrial signals, real signals, scientific signals. And she'd left him the key to finding them again. Los Angeles, 2002. Elon was 31 years old when he founded SpaceX. He'd sold PayPal for a fortune. He had more money than he'd ever dreamed of having. More money than the bullies who'd thrown him downstairs would ever see. But money wasn't why he started SpaceX. He started it because of a star chart. Because of a grandmother who'd whispered secrets in his ear. Because of a promise he'd made when he was 5 years old, staring up at the African sky. I'm going to fly like Grandma Win. I'm going to find her. In a small warehouse in El Segundo, California, Elon gathered his first team of engineers. Tom Mueller, Chris Thompson, Tim Buzza. People who believed that rockets could be built better and cheaper. People who shared his dream of reaching Mars. But on the first day, Elon added something to the mission plan that made the engineers exchange confused looks. Our communication systems, Elon said, pointing to technical diagrams on the whiteboard. They need to include receivers capable of detecting signals across a broad spectrum, including 1,424 megahertz. Tom Mueller frowned. The hydrogen line, why? We're building cargo rockets, not SETI equipment. Because space isn't just about getting from point A to point B, Elon said quietly. It's about understanding what's out there. And to understand, first we have to listen. But, make it happen, Tom, please. The engineers nodded, though they didn't understand. How could they? They didn't know about when. They didn't know about the star chart. They didn't know that every rocket Elon built was really a ladder, reaching higher and higher towards something most people didn't believe existed. That night alone in his office, Elon pulled out the star chart. It was worn now, edges soft from years of handling, but his grandmother's handwriting was still clear. I'm building the bridge, Grandma, he whispered. Just like you told me to. I'm building it high enough to reach. He looked at the coordinates she'd written. Right ascension 13H47M32s. Declination 62 degrees 4122. Somewhere in that direction maybe were answers, proof, understanding. Somewhere in that direction was his grandmother's legacy. And Elon Musk was going to reach it even if it took his entire life. He taped the star chart to the wall of his office where he could see it every day. A reminder, a mission, a promise. The stars were closer than anyone thought, and he was going to prove it. El Segundo, California 2002. The warehouse smelled like metal and dreams. Elon stood in the middle of the concrete floor, looking at the empty space that would become SpaceX. It wasn't much. Gray walls, fluorescent lights, oil stains on the ground. But to him, it was everything. This was where he would build the future. This was where he would honor his grandmother's quest. Tom Mueller walked in carrying blueprints. He was a rocket engineer who'd worked at TRW, building engines that actually flew. When Elon had offered him a job at a company that didn't exist yet, Tom had said yes. "We've got a problem," Tom said, spreading the blueprints on a folding table. "What kind of problem?" "The kind where we don't have enough money to build what you're asking for." Tom pointed at the specifications. "You want reusable rockets. You want advanced communication systems. You want everything better than what NASA has, but at a fraction of the cost. It's impossible." Elon looked at the numbers. Tom was right. By normal math, it was impossible. "So we'll do impossible things," Elon said simply. Tom laughed. Then he realized Elon wasn't joking. "You're serious." "I'm always serious." Elon grabbed a marker and started writing on a whiteboard. "Look, a rocket is just a machine. Machines can be improved. We strip out the waste. We manufacture our own parts. We test, fail, learn, and test again. It's engineering, not magic." "But the timeline you're talking about." "I don't have time for slow timelines." Elon's voice was sharp. "Every day we wait is a day we're not flying. Every year we delay is a year closer to—" He stopped himself. "Closer to what?" Tom asked. Elon turned back to the whiteboard. "Nothing, just, we need to move fast." But Tom had seen something in Elon's face, a urgency that went beyond business, a hunger that felt almost desperate. Over the next few months, more engineers joined. They worked crazy hours. Elon worked crazier ones. He was there when they arrived in the morning. He was there when they left at night. Sometimes he slept on the factory floor, a sleeping bag under his desk. "Does he ever go home?" one engineer whispered to another. "I don't think he has a home," came the reply. It was almost true. Elon had an apartment somewhere, but he barely saw it. Work was everything. SpaceX was everything. The mission was everything. One night around 2 in the morning, Tom found Elon in his office. He was staring at something on the wall, an old piece of paper, yellowed and worn. "What's that?" Tom asked. Elon didn't turn around. "A star chart, from someone who taught me to look up." Tom stepped closer. He could see handwriting on the chart, coordinates, numbers, notes about frequencies and signals. "Is this about SETI stuff, the hydrogen line receivers you wanted?" "It's about listening," Elon said quietly. "My grandmother taught me that the universe is trying to tell us things, but we have to be brave enough to listen, smart enough to understand." "Your grandmother was interested in this. She gave her life to it." Elon's voice was barely a whisper. "She flew into the desert looking for answers. She never came back, but she left me clues, breadcrumbs to follow." Tom didn't know what to say. This wasn't the confident billionaire everyone saw in news articles. This was someone carrying a weight Tom couldn't see. "Is that why you're doing this? Building rockets for her?" Elon finally turned around. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. "I'm doing this because someone has to. Because humanity needs to become a spacefaring civilization. Because Earth won't be here forever and we need a backup plan." "That's the public reason," Tom said gently. "What's the real reason?" Elon looked at him for a long moment. Then he said, "Someone I loved went searching for something beyond our world, and I promised I'd finish what she started. That's the real reason." Hawthorne, California, 2008. 6 years later, SpaceX had moved to a bigger facility in Hawthorne. They'd launched 3 rockets. All 3 had failed. Elon sat in the control room watching data from the 3rd failure scroll across screens. Millions of dollars gone, years of work destroyed, the dream slipping away. We have enough money for one more launch, his CFO said quietly. Maybe two if we're lucky. After that, SpaceX would die, the dream would die, everything would be over. Elon didn't speak. He just stared at the screens. That night he called his mother. It was the first time he'd called her in weeks, maybe months. Time blurred when you worked 18 hours a day. Elon, May's voice was warm but concerned. Sweetheart, it's 3 in the morning there. Are you okay? The rocket failed again, Mom. I know, I saw the news, I'm so sorry. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if it's possible. May was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Do you remember what you used to tell me when you were little, after your grandmother disappeared?" No. You'd look up at the stars every night and say, "I'm going to fly like Grandma Win. I'm going to find her." You were so sure, so determined, you never doubted. Elon closed his eyes. He remembered. That little boy on the yellow grass in Pretoria, counting stars, making promises. That was a child's fantasy, Mom. Reality is harder. Reality has always been hard for our family, May said softly. My mother knew that. She flew anyway, you know that. You're flying anyway. That's what we do, Elon. We reach for impossible things. After they hung up, Elon sat alone in the dark control room. On the wall, he'd hung a copy of Win's star chart. The original was in a safe deposit box, too precious to risk. But the copy reminded him every day why he was here. He walked over and touched the coordinates his grandmother had written. I haven't given up, he whispered to the empty room. I'm still reaching, Grandma. I'm still trying. 4 months later, on September 28, 2008, SpaceX's fourth rocket launched. This time it worked. The Falcon 1 reached orbit, the first privately funded liquid fuel rocket to do so. History was made in that moment. The impossible became possible. Elon stood in the control room watching the telemetry, and for the first time in years he let himself cry. Not tears of sadness, tears of relief, of triumph. He'd kept his promise. He was flying. Hawthorne, 2010. May visited the SpaceX factory for the first time in 2010. Elon gave her a tour, showing her the rockets being built, the engines being tested, the future taking shape in metal and fire. This is incredible, darling, May said. Your grandmother would be so proud. They stood on the factory floor, surrounded by the noise of progress. Engineers welding, machines humming, the sound of dreams being built one piece at a time. Do you ever think about her? Elon asked suddenly. Really think about her? May looked at her son. He was 39 now, no longer the hurt little boy she'd held in the backyard, but she could still see that boy in his eyes. Every day, she admitted. Do you think she's really gone, or do you think there's a chance? He couldn't finish the sentence. May's heart ached. She thought about that last morning with her mother, the argument, the anger, the words she could never take back. I think your grandmother was searching for something beyond what we understand, May said carefully. And I hope she found it. I have her star chart, Elon said. The one Dad gave me when I left South Africa. I decoded some of it. The numbers. They point to something real, Mom, a frequency, a location. Evidence that she wasn't just chasing fantasies. May felt a chill. What are you saying? I'm saying she was right, about the signals, about something being out there. And I'm saying that every rocket I build, every satellite I launch, it's all part of the search. I'm listening, Mom, just like she did, just like she taught me to. Elon. I know it sounds crazy, but I feel her sometimes. Like she's watching, like she's guiding me, telling me to keep going, keep reaching, don't stop. May pulled her son into a hug. He was so tall now she had to reach up, but he folded into her embrace like he had when he was small. You've built something amazing, she whispered. You've honored her in the most beautiful way possible. I'm not done yet, Elon said into her shoulder. I won't be done until I reach where she went, until I find the answers she was looking for." They stood there on the factory floor, mother and son, holding the weight of 50 years of mystery between them. Neither of them knew that in 14 years the truth would finally come out. Neither of them knew that Wynn's real story was stranger and more wonderful than either of them imagined. But they would learn. The truth was waiting, patient as stars, ready to be revealed. Hawthorne, 2015. On a Tuesday afternoon in March 2015, something strange happened. Elon was in a meeting when his assistant interrupted. "There's a package for you. No return address." The courier said it was urgent. Elon frowned. "I'm in a meeting." "The courier said to tell you it's from someone who watches from above." Those exact words. Elon's blood went cold. He stood up immediately. "Excuse me," he told the other executives. "We'll continue this later." In his office, the package waited, small, brown paper wrapping, his name written in careful block letters. Elon's hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a small model airplane, a Beechcraft exactly like the one his grandmother had flown. It was beautifully made with tiny, perfect details, real metal, real paint. On one wing, barely visible, was an engraving. Elon had to use a magnifying glass to read it. "You're flying higher than I ever did. Keep going. W.H. Winifred Haldeman." Elon sat down hard. His breath came in short gasps. This wasn't possible. His grandmother had died in 1974, 41 years ago. This had to be a cruel joke. Someone who knew the family history, someone playing games, but the engraving, the handwriting style, the specific model of plane. He turned the model over and over in his hands, looking for more clues. On the underside of the fuselage, he found something else. A tiny date stamp, 2015. This model had been made this year, recently. Elon grabbed his phone and called the front desk. "The courier who delivered my package. What company?" "They didn't say, sir. Independent courier, paid cash." Description: older woman, silver hair, wore sunglasses, very polite. Elon's heart hammered. "How old?" "I don't know, 60s, 70s maybe." Elon couldn't speak. His grandmother would be 96 now if she was alive, which was impossible, wasn't it? He set the model plane on his desk right next to the star chart. "Grandma," he whispered to the empty office. "Are you out there? Are you really out there?" The plane sat silent, but its message was clear. Someone was watching. Someone knew what he was building. Someone approved. And Elon Musk, who had spent his life reaching for the impossible, had to face the most impossible thought of all. Maybe his grandmother hadn't died. Maybe she'd just gone somewhere he couldn't follow. Not yet, but someday. Hawthorne, California, February 2018. Elon hadn't told anyone about the model plane. It sat in a locked drawer in his office, wrapped carefully in cloth. Sometimes, late at night when the factory was quiet, he'd take it out and hold it, looking for answers it couldn't give. 3 years had passed since that mysterious delivery. 3 years of wondering. 3 years of building bigger rockets, launching more satellites, pushing harder toward Mars. 3 years of listening. Most people didn't know that every SpaceX satellite carried special receivers, equipment that monitored frequencies across the spectrum, equipment that listened for patterns, for signals, for anything that didn't belong. The engineers thought it was for communication testing, for improving satellite performance. They didn't know the real reason. Elon was searching. On February 6, 2018, SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy for the first time. The most powerful operational rocket in the world. And strapped to it as a test payload was Elon's personal Tesla Roadster with a mannequin in a spacesuit behind the wheel. The media loved it. Starman, they called the mannequin. A dummy in a car headed for an orbit around the sun. Funny, eccentric, very Elon. But what the media didn't know was that the Tesla carried more than cameras and batteries. Hidden in the dashboard was one of Elon's special receivers. Listening. Always listening. 3 weeks after launch, on a Thursday night at 11:47 p.m., Elon got an alert on his phone. Anomalous signal detected, priority 1. He was at home in Los Angeles. He'd been trying to sleep, which he was never good at. Now he was instantly awake. He grabbed his laptop and pulled up the data stream from the Roadster, now millions of miles away in space. The signal was there, clear and unmistakable. A pattern of pulses on 1,424 megahertz, the hydrogen line, the same frequency his grandmother had written about 44 years ago. Elon's hands trembled as he analyzed the data. The signal wasn't constant. It came in bursts, 3 short pulses, 2 long pulses, 3 short pulses again. Dit, da-da, dit. It took him a moment to recognize it. Then his blood ran cold, SOS, the universal distress signal. But that was impossible. The signal was coming from deep space, from the direction of the coordinates his grandmother had marked on her star chart. Right ascension 13H47M32s. Declination 62 degrees 4122. Elon checked the data 4 times. He ran every verification protocol he knew, checked for equipment malfunction, satellite interference, solar radiation, anything that might explain this away. But the signal was real. Someone or something was broadcasting on the hydrogen line, from the exact spot his grandmother had been watching, using a pattern that humans would recognize. Elon stood up and paced his bedroom. His heart raced. His mind spun. This changed everything. This meant his grandmother had been right, that she'd really seen something, detected something, that she hadn't been chasing fantasies, and it meant. His phone rang. He jumped. The caller ID showed unknown number. Elon answered, "Hello." Static, then a voice, faint and broken by interference. "Elon." "Who is this?" More static. The voice came again, clearer this time. "Don't be afraid, keep listening, you're so close." "Who is this?" Elon demanded. "How did you get this number?" But the line went dead. Elon stared at his phone. His whole body shook. That voice. It had sounded old, tired, but somehow familiar, like an echo of something he'd heard long ago. He pulled up the call log. The number showed as blocked, untraceable. For the rest of the night, Elon sat at his laptop analyzing the signal data. He couldn't tell anyone, not yet, not until he understood what this meant. By morning, he'd made a decision. He needed to go to where his grandmother had disappeared. To the Kalahari Desert, to the place where her plane had been found with no body inside. He needed answers that only that place could give, and he needed his father's help to find them. Pretoria, South Africa, November 2018. Elon's private jet landed at OR Tambo International Airport on a cloudy Saturday morning. He hadn't been back to South Africa in 3 years. The country felt both familiar and foreign. Home, but not home. A car took him to his father's house in Waterkloof, the same house where he'd grown up, where he'd hidden in the storage room reading his grandmother's journals, where he'd been hurt and lonely and desperate to escape. Errol was waiting on the front steps. He was 73 now, smaller than Elon remembered. Age had bent him, softened him somehow. "Elon," Errol said, no hug, just a nod. "You look tired." "I am tired." Elon climbed out of the car. "We need to talk about Grandma Win." Errol's expression didn't change. "Come inside." They sat in Errol's study, the same room where, years later, Errol would find the hidden compartment in Win's trunk. But that discovery was still in the future. For now, there were only the old boxes and the old secrets. "I received a signal," Elon said without preamble. "From space. From the exact coordinates Grandma Win marked on her star chart. The one you gave me when I left." Errol's face went pale. "What kind of signal?" "SOS pattern on the hydrogen line, the frequency she was monitoring." Elon pulled out his laptop and showed his father the data. "This is real, Dad. She was right about everything. The lights, the phenomena. There's something out there." Errol stared at the screen for a long time. Then he stood and walked to a cabinet. He pulled out a bottle of whiskey and poured 2 glasses. He handed one to Elon. "I need to show you something," Errol said. "Something I should have shown you years ago." He led Elon down the hall to the storage room. It looked different now, more organized, less dusty, like someone had been spending time here recently. Errol pulled out Wynn's old trunk, the same trunk Elon had explored as a child. He opened it and began removing items, flight logs, photographs, maps. Then he reached the bottom and pressed on a corner. A false bottom clicked open. "I found this 6 months ago," Errol said. "I've been trying to decide what to do with it, whether to tell you. Whether to tell your mother. Now, I think the universe is deciding for me." From the hidden compartment, he pulled out papers, letters and photographs, but not old photographs, recent ones. Elon's breath caught. The top photograph showed an elderly woman, silver hair, kind eyes, wearing a jacket with patches he didn't recognize, standing in front of what looked like a research facility. Snow-covered mountains in the background. The woman looked remarkably like his grandmother, like what Wynn Haldeman would look like if she'd lived to be 90. Elon's hand shook as he took the photograph. On the back was a date stamp, June 2015, 3 months after he'd received the model plane. "Where did you get this?" Elon whispered. "It was in the trunk in this hidden compartment, along with these." Errol handed him a stack of letters, all in Wynn's handwriting, all dated between 1975 and 2015. Letters from a woman who was supposed to be dead. Elon read the first one. It was dated January 1975. 1 month after Wynn's disappearance. "My dear family, I know you think I'm gone. The authorities have surely told you my plane crashed, that I died. Please let them believe that. It's easier this way. But I need you to know I'm alive, I'm safe. And I'm exactly where I need to be. I can't explain everything. Not yet, maybe not ever, but I'm part of something important. Something that will change how humanity understands the universe. I'm sorry I had to leave. I'm sorry for the pain this causes. But some questions demand complete dedication. Some answers are worth everything. Tell my grandson, tell Elon that I'm watching from above. Always watching, always proud. With love, Wynn." Elon couldn't breathe. His grandmother was alive, or had been alive in 2015, somewhere. Doing something she couldn't explain, he looked at his father. "You've known about this for 6 months, and you didn't tell me." "I didn't know what it meant. I still don't." Errol sat down heavily. "Is she part of some secret program, some government project? Did she discover something that made her fake her death? I've been going crazy trying to understand." Elon looked at the photograph again, at the facility in the background, at the patches on his grandmother's jacket. One of them showed a symbol he recognized, a triangle with waves emanating from it, the universal symbol for radio astronomy, for listening to the cosmos. "She's been listening," Elon said slowly. "All these years. She's been out there somewhere listening to the same signals she detected in 1974. She's part of something, a search, a project. Something official enough to have facilities and equipment, but secret enough that she had to disappear to join it. But why not tell us? Why the secrecy?" Elon thought about the signal he detected, the SOS pattern, a distress signal or a greeting, a call for help or an invitation. "Because maybe," Elon said quietly, "she's not just listening anymore. Maybe she's communicating. And maybe whoever she's communicating with doesn't want the world to know. Not yet." Father and son looked at each other. Between them lay 50 years of secrets and silences, but also, finally, truth. "We need to go to the desert," Elon said, "to where her plane was found. There might be more clues, more evidence, more pieces of this puzzle." "When?" "Now, today. I've already arranged for a helicopter and guides. We leave in 2 hours. Errol nodded slowly. Okay, let's go find your grandmother's secrets. They gathered the letters and photographs. Elon packed them carefully in his bag. Then they prepared for a journey into the Kalahari Desert, into the place where Win Haldeman had vanished 44 years ago, into the place where maybe some answers still waited in the sand and stars. Above the Kalahari, November 2018. The helicopter flew low over the desert. Red sand stretched endlessly below. The sun was setting, painting everything gold and orange and purple. Elon sat by the window, watching the landscape. His father sat across from him, silent, both lost in their own thoughts. The pilot's voice crackled over the headset. Coming up on the coordinates you provided. This is where the plane was found in 1974. Elon leaned forward. Below there was nothing special, just desert, just sand and scrub brush and emptiness. Whatever wreckage had been here was long gone, removed by authorities or buried by time. But as the sun touched the horizon, something changed. The light shifted, and suddenly Elon saw it. On the ground below, barely visible in the sand, was a pattern, a large circle with lines radiating out, like a compass rose or a signal marker. Do you see that? Elon pointed. See what? Errol squinted. That pattern in the sand. It's too regular to be natural. The pilot circled lower. I see it now. Want me to land? Yes. They touched down 50 meters from the pattern. Elon and Errol climbed out, sand whipping around them in the helicopter's downdraft. As they walked closer, the pattern became clearer. Stones, hundreds of white stones arranged deliberately, creating a design that would only be visible from above. At the center of the circle was a flat rock. On it, protected by a cairn of smaller stones, was a metal box. Elon's heart pounded as he lifted the box. It was sealed but not locked. He opened it carefully. Inside was a flight log. Win's flight log, the real one from 1974, the pages she'd written in those final weeks, and underneath it one more photograph. This one showed Win, definitely Win, no question, standing next to a younger person. The photo was recent, very recent. The quality was sharp and clear, but the background made Elon's world tilt. Behind the two figures was a window, and through that window was not Earth. It was stars, deep space. The curve of a planet's edge visible at the bottom of the frame. His grandmother was in space, actually in space, not on Earth. Not on any space station Elon knew about, somewhere else entirely. On the back of the photo, in Win's handwriting, the stars were always closer than I said. Come find me, Elon, you're almost ready. Grandma, 2018. Elon looked up at the darkening sky. The first stars were appearing, millions of them, billions. Somewhere up there, his grandmother was waiting, and he was going to find her. Kalahari Desert, Botswana, November 2018. The desert night was cold, much colder than Elon had expected. He sat by a small fire, the metal box open on his lap. His father sat across from him, silent. The helicopter pilot had set up camp 50 meters away, giving them privacy. Above, the Milky Way stretched across the sky like a river of light. Elon had seen stars before, but never like this. Never so many, so bright, so close you felt you could reach up and touch them. This was what his grandmother had seen. This exact sky, from this exact place. 44 years ago, she'd stood here and looked up and made a choice that changed everything. Read the flight log, Errol said quietly. The last entries, you need to see what she wrote. Elon opened the worn leather book. The pages smelled like dust and time. He found the final entries, written in his grandmother's careful handwriting. December 9, 1974. 3 days until my final flight. I can barely sleep. My hands shake when I pour my tea, not from fear, from excitement, from wonder. They contacted me again last night, not through radio, through thought, through feeling, through a knowing that appeared in my mind like water filling an empty cup. They showed me images, a place beyond Earth, a station where they study us, watch us, try to understand us. They've been watching humanity for a very long time, waiting for us to be ready, waiting for individuals brave enough to join them. They asked me if I wanted to see, really see, to understand our place in the universe. I said yes. They warned me the price is high. I must leave my family behind. I cannot return to my old life. The governments of Earth are not ready for this truth. If I accept their invitation, I must disappear completely. Let everyone believe I died. It's the hardest choice I've ever faced. I love my daughter. I adore my grandchildren. Little Elon especially, that boy has stars in his eyes already. But I'm 65 years old. I've had a good life, a full life. And now I'm being offered something impossible, something beyond every dream I've ever had. How can I say no? I've written letters for May, for Elon, hidden them where they'll eventually be found, left clues for those smart enough to follow them. And in 3 days, I'll fly into this desert one last time. I'll land where they tell me to land. And I'll step from my plane into a new life, a life among the stars. Forgive me, family, but some calls cannot be ignored. Elon's vision blurred. He wiped his eyes roughly and kept reading. December 11, 1974. Tomorrow, it happens tomorrow. I flew to the coordinates today, a practice run. The area is completely empty, just sand and rocks and endless sky. Perfect for what needs to happen. I arranged the stone circle, a marker for those who come looking someday. At the center, I'll leave this flight log, evidence, proof that I chose this, that I wasn't taken against my will. Tonight I said goodbye to my plane, ran my hands along the wings, thanked it for all the years of faithful service. Tomorrow I'll fly it one last time, land it carefully, leave it empty with my jacket folded on the seat. Then I'll walk away from everything I've known. I'm not afraid, I'm ready. To whoever finds this, tell my family I died doing what I loved. Let them grieve cleanly. Don't burden them with impossible truths. But tell Elon when he's old enough that the universe is bigger and stranger and more wonderful than anyone imagines. Tell him to keep asking questions, keep searching, keep reaching. Tell him his grandmother is watching from the stars. And tell him that someday, if he builds the right bridge, he can follow. December 12, 1974. A single line written hastily. They're here. The light is beautiful. I'm not afraid. Time to fly higher than I ever dreamed. W.H. That was the last entry. Elon closed the log carefully. His throat felt tight. His chest ached. She chose this, he said. His voice sounded strange. She wasn't taken. She wasn't killed. She chose to leave us. Yes, Errol said. For what? To study with aliens, to join some cosmic research project. Anger crept into Elon's voice. She had a family, people who loved her, and she just left. She left for the same reason you work yourself to exhaustion building rockets, Errol said. The same reason you sleep on factory floors and risk everything you have. Because some dreams are bigger than comfort. Bigger than safety. Elon wanted to argue, wanted to say it was different, but was it? How many times had his own children asked him to come home, to stop working so much, to choose them over his companies, and how many times had he said soon or later or this is important? His grandmother hadn't been running away from her family. She'd been running toward something greater, just like he'd been doing his whole life. The anger drained away, leaving only sadness and understanding. I wish she'd said goodbye properly, Elon whispered. I wish she'd held me one more time, told me where she was going. You were 3 years old. You wouldn't have understood. I would have tried. For her, I would have tried. They sat in silence, watching the fire burn low. The stars wheeled overhead, ancient and patient. What do we do now? Errol finally asked. Do we tell people, show them the evidence? Elon looked at the photograph again. His grandmother in space, the curve of a planet behind her, a truth the world wasn't ready for. No, he said slowly. Grandma was right. The world isn't ready. If we release this, governments will panic. Scientists will demand access. Everything she sacrificed for would be destroyed by fear and politics. So we keep her secret. For now, until I can reach her myself, until I can build something that can go where she is. Elon stood and looked up at the stars. She said, I'm almost ready. That means she believes I can do this. Build a ship, find her, bring back proof on my own terms. That could take years, decades. I have time. Elon's voice hardened with determination. I'm 47 years old. SpaceX is strong. Starship will fly soon. Every year I get closer to having the technology we need. Technology to do what exactly? To go beyond low Earth orbit, beyond the moon, to follow the coordinates she left, to answer her invitation. Elon turned to his father. She's been watching me build bridges to the stars my whole life. Now I know why. She's been waiting for me to finish, waiting for me to come find her. Errol stood too. Father and son faced each other across the fire. I'm sorry, Errol said suddenly, for everything, for being a terrible father, for not understanding you, for all the years I made you feel small and wrong. Elon was quiet for a moment. Then he said, you kept her things, her journals, her maps, her star chart. You gave them to me when I needed them. That mattered more than you know. I wish I'd done more. You did enough. Elon held out his hand. Errol took it. Then awkwardly they hugged, brief and uncomfortable but real. The first real embrace they'd shared in 30 years. When they pulled apart, both had tears on their faces. We should tell your mother, Errol said, about all of this. She deserves to know. Yes, together. We tell her together. They packed up the camp, loaded the flight log and photograph carefully. By midnight, they were back in the helicopter flying toward Pretoria. Elon looked out at the desert disappearing behind them. Somewhere down there, his grandmother had walked away from her old life and into a new one. She'd been brave enough to answer an impossible call. Now it was his turn. He pulled out his phone. No signal out here, but he typed a message to send later. Mom, Dad and I found something important. About Grandma Win. Can you come to South Africa? We need to talk, all three of us. It's time to tell you everything. Love, Elon. He saved the message. In a few hours, when they had signal, it would send. And his mother would pack a bag and fly across the world. And together, finally, they would face the truth as a family. The truth that Win Haldeman hadn't died. She'd transformed. And she was still out there, somewhere among the stars, waiting for her grandson to finish building his bridge to the sky. Pretoria 3 days later. May arrived on a Wednesday. Elon and Errol picked her up from the airport. She looked tired from the long flight, but her eyes were sharp. What's this about? She asked as they drove through Johannesburg. Your message was so mysterious. We need to show you something, Elon said from the front seat. Something about Grandma. May's expression shifted. What about her? Everything, the truth about everything. At the house, they sat in Errol's study, the same room where Errol had opened the hidden compartment, the same room where so many secrets had lived for so long. Elon placed the flight log on the table, then the photographs, then the letters. Mom, he said gently, Grandma Win didn't die in 1974. She's alive, or was alive as recently as 2018. Look. May's hands trembled as she picked up the recent photograph, the one showing Win in space. Her face went pale. Her breath came in short gasps. This isn't possible. It's real. We had it verified. The image isn't doctored. That's really her. May read the flight log entries. She looked at every photograph. She read the letters Win had written over the years, letters that had somehow found their way back to Earth, back to her family. When she finished, she sat very still. Tears ran down her face, but she didn't make a sound. She left us, May finally whispered. She chose to leave. She chose something bigger than herself, Elon said. Something that gave her life meaning beyond what Earth could offer. But I never got to say goodbye. Not really. Our last conversation was a fight. I called her selfish. Those were almost my last words to her. You're selfish. May's voice broke. She covered her face with her hands and sobbed deep, painful sobs that came from 50 years of grief and guilt and love. Elon moved to sit beside her. He put his arm around her shoulders. She leaned into him and they held each other while she cried. Errol watched from across the room, his own eyes wet. She wasn't selfish, Elon said softly. She was brave, and she's been watching us all these years, sending signs, leaving clues. She never really left us, Mom. She just went somewhere we couldn't follow, yet. May pulled back and looked at her son. Yet. I'm going to find her. I'm going to build the ship that can reach wherever she is. And I'm going to bring back the truth. For her, for us, for everyone. That's impossible. People said reusable rockets were impossible. They said landing boosters on drone ships was impossible. They said private space companies were impossible. Elon's voice was fierce. I've built a career on doing impossible things. This is just one more. May touched the photograph of her mother. Wynn looked happy in the picture, at peace, like someone who'd found exactly where they belonged. She looks good, May whispered. She looks free. She is free, Elon said. And she wants me to be free too. Free to reach as high as I can dream. That's what all her clues have been telling me. Build the bridge, reach higher, don't stop. What do we do now? May asked. We keep her secret, we protect what she built, and we wait. Elon stood and walked to the window. Outside, the South African sun blazed in a clear sky. But not for long. Starship will fly soon, and when it does, I'll have the tool I need. The ship that can take me beyond Earth, beyond the moon, beyond everything. To find your grandmother. To finish what she started. May stood and joined her son at the window. Mother and son looking up at the daytime sky where stars hid behind blue light. She'd be proud of you, May said. You know that, right? Everything you've built, everything you've accomplished. She'd be so proud. I know, Elon said softly. She told me so. He thought of the model plane, the mysterious message, the photograph from space. His grandmother was watching. She'd always been watching. And soon, very soon, he would reach high enough to see her face to face. The bridge was almost finished. The stars were almost close enough to touch. New York City, October 2024. 6 years had passed since the desert. 6 years of building, testing, launching. 6 years of getting closer. Now, finally, it was time to tell the complete truth. May sat in her New York apartment waiting. Elon was flying in from Texas. Errol had already arrived from South Africa 2 days ago. He was staying at a hotel nearby, too many old wounds to stay with her. But today, those wounds didn't matter. Today, they would face their children together. Tell them everything. Share the secret that had shaped their family for 50 years. Kimball and Tosca would join by video call, but Elon needed to be here in person. Because what they had to show him, what they'd kept from him for 6 years, required him to see it with his own eyes. The doorbell rang at exactly 2 o'clock. May opened it to find Elon and Errol standing together, father and son, united by purpose if not by love. Come in, May said. They settled in her living room. May made tea that nobody drank. The tension was thick enough to touch. Why are we really here? Elon asked. You said it was about Grandma, but we already know about the desert, about the photographs. What else is there? May and Errol exchanged looks. After 50 years of silence, the truth felt heavy on their tongues. There's something we didn't tell you in 2018, Errol began. Something we weren't sure about ourselves. Something we needed time to verify. What? Elon leaned forward. When I found the hidden compartment in 2018, there was more than just the letters and photographs, Errol said. There was one more item, something we didn't show you that day in the desert. He pulled out his briefcase and removed an envelope. Inside was a single photograph protected by plastic. May took it with shaking hands and passed it to Elon. The photograph showed an elderly woman, silver hair, kind eyes, weathered face. She wore a jacket with patches and insignia, but that wasn't what made Elon's breath catch. The woman was standing in front of a window, and through that window was clearly visible a research station interior, control panels, computer screens. And beyond another window behind those, Earth. The entire planet Earth, blue and white and beautiful, hanging in black space. But this photo was different from the ones they'd found in the desert. This one was dated 2015, and on the back, in handwriting Elon now knew by heart, was a message. For my grandson Elon, when you receive this, you'll know I'm alive, but there's more you need to know. I'm not alone, I never was, and the truth is stranger than you can imagine. Keep building your bridge, darling boy, you're almost there. What you seek isn't just me, it's understanding. Real understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos. The coordinates I gave you were just the beginning. The real location is encoded in something I left with you long ago. Think, remember. The answer has been with you since you were young. With love across the stars, Grandma Win. P.S. Check the model plane. Elon stared at the message. The model plane, the one that was delivered to my office in 2015. Yes, Errol said. After we found this photograph in 2018, I went back and looked at the plane you'd told me about. You'd kept it, right? It's in my office safe, at SpaceX headquarters. Elon's mind raced. You think there's something hidden in it. I think your grandmother has been leaving you breadcrumbs your entire life, and that plane is the final clue. May spoke up, her voice soft. Elon, there's something else, something I need to tell you, about that last day I saw your grandmother. She told him everything, about the argument, about calling Win selfish, about walking away angry instead of saying, I love you. For 50 years, I thought those were my last words to her, May said, tears streaming down her face. I thought I'd failed her, failed you, failed everyone. But now I understand something, she continued. Your grandmother wasn't running away from us. She was running towards something that would ultimately help all of us, and she's been trying to guide you toward it ever since. Elon was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. This is Elon Musk. I need my office opened immediately. Yes, I know it's after hours. This is priority one. I'll be there in 3 hours. He looked at his parents. We're going to California, right now, all of us. We're going to see what's in that plane. Elon, May started. No, Mom, I've waited my whole life for answers. Grandma has been playing this long game, leaving clues, waiting for me to piece it together. Well, I'm ready. Let's finish this. Hawthorne, California, later that night. The SpaceX headquarters was quiet. Most employees had gone home, but security let Elon and his parents through without question. They took the elevator to Elon's office on the 3rd floor. Inside, the walls were covered with photographs of rockets, Mars, dreams made real. And in the corner, mounted on a shelf, was the model Beechcraft plane. Elon carefully took it down. Under bright light, the three of them examined every centimeter. There, Errol said, pointing. The panel under the wing. It looks like it slides. Elon's fingers found the tiny groove. He pressed and a small panel popped open. Inside was a USB drive no bigger than his thumb. His hands shook as he pulled it out. Let's see what secrets you've been keeping, Grandma, he whispered. He plugged it into his computer. A single file appeared on the screen. For Elon eyes only, MP4. He clicked it. A video player opened. The screen showed static for a moment, then an image resolved. It was his grandmother, but not young Win from old family videos. This was current Win, an old woman, maybe 90 years old, sitting in a chair. Behind her was a window showing stars. She smiled, and Elon's heart broke and healed at the same time. "Hello, Elon," Win said from the screen. Her voice was older, softer, but still strong. "If you're watching this, it means you found the clues. You followed the breadcrumbs. You kept building your bridge. I always knew you would." Tears poured down Elon's face. May sobbed openly. Even Errol's eyes were wet. "I know you have questions," Win continued. "Where am I? What happened? Why did I leave? Let me answer what I can." She shifted in her chair, getting comfortable like she was settling in for a long story. "In 1974, I was investigating unusual phenomena in the Kalahari Desert, lights in the sky that moved with intelligence. After months of observation, I was contacted, not by little green men from flying saucers, by representatives of an organization that's existed for thousands of years, humans and non-humans working together, studying the cosmos, learning, growing, preparing humanity for its next step. They offered me a choice: join them in their work, live on a research station beyond Earth, study the universe from a perspective no human had ever had, but the price was everything: my family, my old life, my identity. I struggled with that choice. God, how I struggled. I loved you, May. I loved you, Elon and Kimball and Tosca. But I also knew that what they were offering could change everything for humanity. And I knew that if I could pave the way, if I could learn and grow and eventually share that knowledge, it would be worth any sacrifice." Win's eyes glistened with tears. "So I accepted. I faked my death. I joined them. And for 50 years, I've been living among the stars, learning things that would make your head spin. But I never stopped watching you, Elon. Never. I saw every rocket you launched, every success and failure, every step you took toward the stars. I've been sending you signs when I could, the model plane, the signals, little nudges to keep you going. And now you're close, so close. Starship is almost ready. Your technology is almost there. Soon, you'll be able to reach beyond Earth in ways that will open doors to everything." Win leaned forward, looking directly into the camera like she could see through time to Elon's face. "Here's what I need you to understand, my darling boy. I'm not imprisoned. I'm not being held against my will. I chose this life because I believed, I still believe, that humanity is ready for its next chapter. We're not alone in the universe. We never were, but we weren't ready to know that. Not in 1974, maybe not even now. But you, Elon, you're making us ready. Every rocket you launch, every boundary you push, you're showing humanity that we can be more than we are, that we can reach higher, dream bigger, become citizens of the cosmos, not just this one planet. The coordinates I gave you were real. There's a station at those coordinates, not visible to normal telescopes, hidden by technology I still barely understand, but it's there, watching, waiting. And when humanity is ready, when you're ready, the door will open." Win's smile was sad and beautiful. "I can't come home, Elon. I'm too old now, too changed by what I've seen and learned. This is my home now. But someday, when you build a ship capable of reaching far enough, fast enough, you'll find this place. And when you do, you'll understand why I made the choice I made. You'll see wonders beyond imagination. You'll meet beings who make humans look like children. You'll learn that the universe is wilder and more beautiful than our limited understanding can grasp. And maybe, if I'm lucky, I'll still be here to greet you, to hug you, to tell you in person how proud I am, how you took a grandmother's wild dreams and made them into reality." Win wiped her eyes. "I love you, Elon Musk. I loved you when you were 3 years old, staring at stars. I love you now, building bridges to those stars. And I'll love you when you finally cross that bridge and step into the bigger universe waiting beyond. Keep reaching, keep building, keep asking what if. The answer to every question you've ever had is up here waiting. Tell your mother I'm sorry. Sorry for the pain I caused. Sorry for leaving. But tell her I understand now why she called me selfish. In a way, she was right. I chose my dreams over my family. But I also chose those dreams for my family, so they could live in a world that knows the truth, that we're part of something vast and wonderful. Tell your father, tell him thank you for keeping my secrets, for protecting you, for giving you the star chart when you needed it. He did better than he knows. Wynn stood up from her chair. Behind her, the stars wheeled in eternal dance. This recording will erase after you watch it. Security protocols, but the truth will stay with you, and the door will open when you're ready. I'm waiting for you, my darling boy, among the stars, where I always told you I'd be. The stars are closer than you think, and you're almost close enough to touch them. Come find me, I'll be here. She smiled one last time. Then she raised her hand to the camera, fingers spread like she was trying to reach through the screen to touch his face. I love you, Elon, forever and always. Grandma Wynn. The screen went black. The file immediately began to corrupt, pixels scrambling, data dissolving. Within seconds, it was gone completely, erased as Wynn had promised. Elon sat frozen, tears ran down his face. His chest heaved with sobs he couldn't control. May wrapped her arms around him. For the first time since he was small, Elon let himself be held, let himself cry, let himself feel the weight of 50 years of mystery finally lifting. She's alive, he choked out. She's really alive. And she's been watching me all this time. Yes, May whispered. Yes, darling, she's been there all along. Errol stood awkwardly nearby. Then he stepped forward and put his hand on Elon's shoulder. The three of them stood together, mother, father, son, united by love and loss and impossible truth. Finally, Elon pulled back. He wiped his face. His expression shifted from grief to determination. Starship flies in 6 months, he said. The first orbital test, and after that, if it works, we start building the ship that can go farther, fast enough, high enough. You're really going to find her? May asked. I have to, she's waiting, and I've spent my whole life building this bridge. Elon looked at his parents. She didn't die, she transformed, and she wants me to follow. How can I not? What about everyone else? Errol asked. Do we tell the world? Not yet, Grandma was right. People aren't ready. They'd panic, fight, try to control what they don't understand. Elon's jaw set. But when I reach that station, when I see what she's seen, learn what she's learned, then I'll bring back proof, on our terms, in a way that helps instead of hurts. He looked at the blank screen where his grandmother's face had been. I'm coming, Grandma, he whispered. I'm almost there, just wait a little longer. Outside the window, the California night was clear. Stars shone bright and close. And somewhere among them, an old woman waited for her grandson to finish what they'd started together 50 years ago. The bridge was almost complete. The promise was almost kept. Soon, very soon, Elon Musk would reach high enough to touch the stars his grandmother had called home, and the truth would finally set them all free. New York City, October 2024, 2 days later. The family meeting happened on a Saturday morning. May's apartment was crowded but warm. Elon sat on the couch between his mother and father. On the laptop screen, Kimball and Tosca joined from their homes. Kimball was in Colorado, his face showing confusion. Tosca was in Los Angeles, her eyes already wet with tears. They could sense something huge was coming. Thank you both for joining, May said. What we're about to tell you will sound impossible, but it's true, every word. For the next hour, they told the story, showed the photographs, read excerpts from the letters, explained about the desert, the signals, the 50-year secret. When they finished, silence filled the room like water. Grandma Wynne is alive, Kimball finally said. In space, with aliens. Not with aliens exactly, Elon corrected gently. With an organization that includes non-human intelligence, but also humans, scientists, explorers, people who have been watching over humanity's development for generations. This is insane, Tosca whispered. This can't be real. I know how it sounds, May said. I felt the same way, but the evidence is real. Your grandmother didn't die in 1974. She chose a different path. Kimball shook his head slowly. Why are you telling us now, after all these years? Elon stood and walked to the window. Outside, New York City rushed past. Millions of people living their lives, unaware of the bigger universe waiting beyond their sky. Because I'm going to find her, Elon said. And when I do, everything changes. You deserve to know the truth before that happens. Going to find her how? Tosca asked. Starship, Mars missions, the technology we're building at SpaceX. Elon turned to face his siblings. It's all been for this. Every rocket, every test, every failure and success. I've been building a ladder to reach where Grandma went. That's why you've pushed so hard, Kimball said slowly. Understanding dawned in his eyes. All these years, working yourself to exhaustion, risking everything. It wasn't just about Mars or electric cars or innovation. No, Elon admitted. Those things matter, but underneath it all, I've been chasing her, trying to finish what she started, trying to prove she wasn't crazy, that her sacrifice meant something. He sat back down, his voice softening. When I was 5 years old, the most important person in my young life disappeared into the sky. Everyone told me she was gone forever, that I'd never see her again. I grew up believing that if you reached too far, you vanished and couldn't come back. May reached for his hand, he let her take it. But Grandma Wynne didn't disappear, Elon continued. She transformed. She found something so important, so meaningful, that it was worth leaving everything behind. Her family, her home, her old life. She traded it all for answers to the biggest questions humans can ask. And she's been out there, her whole life, working on something that matters more than comfort or safety. Something that could change how humanity understands itself. Elon looked at each face, his mother, his father, his siblings on the screen, his family, broken and complicated and held together by love and secrets. That's what I'm doing too, he said. I'm not building rockets because I want to be famous. I'm not working 100-hour weeks because I'm addicted to success. I'm doing it because Grandma Wynne showed me that some questions are worth dedicating your entire existence to answering. Are we alone in the universe? Can humanity survive beyond Earth? Can we become something greater than we are right now? Those questions cost her everything. They've cost me relationships, peace, normal life. People think I'm crazy or obsessed or too intense. Maybe I am, but these are the only questions worth asking. Tosca wiped her eyes. Did she ever think about us, miss us? Every day, May answered. Her letters made that clear. She loved us desperately, but she loved possibility more. She loved the chance to understand, to grow, to help humanity take its next step. I was so angry at her, May continued. For so long, I called her selfish. I resented her choice, but now I understand. She wasn't choosing between love and dreams. She was choosing to love us by chasing dreams big enough to change our world. Errol spoke for the first time in a while. I kept her secrets because I thought I was protecting you all, but really, I was protecting myself from having to explain, from having to admit that someone I knew was braver than I could ever be. He looked at Elon. You got her courage, son, her vision, her refusal to accept limits. I never understood it when you were young. I tried to make you harder, tougher, more like me. But you were never supposed to be like me. You were supposed to be like her." Elon's throat felt tight. He couldn't remember the last time his father had said something kind to him. Maybe never. "Thank you," Elon managed. "That means more than you know." Kimball leaned forward on the screen. "So what happens now? You keep building rockets until you can reach this station, this secret place where Grandma is." "Yes," Elon said. "Starship will give us the capability. Once it's operational, once we prove we can go beyond Earth orbit reliably, I'll use the coordinates Grandma left. I'll go find her, see what she's seen, learn what she's learned. And then I'll decide if humanity is ready for the truth. If we are, I'll bring back proof, evidence, real contact with the larger universe. If we're not, I'll keep the secret a little longer, keep preparing us." "That's a huge responsibility," Tosca said. "I know, but Grandma trusted me with it. She spent 50 years guiding me toward this moment. I can't let her down." May squeezed his hand. "She'd be so proud of you, darling. You know that, right? Everything you've built, everything you've accomplished, every impossible thing you've made real." "I hope so," Elon whispered, "because everything I've done has been to honor her, to prove her sacrifice wasn't wasted, to show that the boy she loved became someone worth believing in." The morning sun streamed through the windows. Outside, the world continued. People walked dogs, bought coffee, went about their normal Saturday routines. None of them knew that in this small apartment a family was reshaping their understanding of everything, of life and death, of sacrifice and love, of the thin line between grief and hope. "I received a package last year," Elon said suddenly, "right before the Starship test in Texas. A small box, no return address." He pulled out his phone and showed them a photograph. A tiny model of Starship, beautifully detailed. On the base was an engraving, "Almost there, so proud, keep flying, WH." "She's still watching," Elon said. "Still sending signs, still believing in me." "That must be amazing," Kimball said, "but also terrifying, all that pressure." "It is," Elon admitted. "Some days I feel like I'm carrying the weight of the universe, her dreams, her sacrifice, humanity's future, my own need to understand. It's crushing sometimes." "Why don't you stop?" Tosca asked gently. "Take a break, let someone else carry it for a while." Elon smiled sadly. "Because that's not who I am. Grandma knew that. That's why she left me the clues. She knew I couldn't stop even if I wanted to, that I'd chase answers until my last breath, just like she did." "You're just like her," May said. "Brilliant and stubborn and completely unable to accept the world as it is. Always pushing, always reaching, always asking what if." "Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" "Both," May laughed through her tears. "It's both, sweetheart. It makes you great. It also makes you impossible. But I wouldn't change you. She wouldn't change you either." The meeting continued for another hour. More stories, more questions, more tears and laughter, and the strange relief that comes from finally telling the truth. When Kimball and Tosca finally logged off, promising to process everything and talk again soon, Elon stood to leave. "Wait," Errol said, "before you go." He pulled out a small box from his bag. Inside was the compass that had been in Wynn's wooden box, the one young Elon had found in the storage room all those years ago. "This was hers," Errol said. "It guided her through the sky. Now it should guide you. Take it. Let it remind you that you're following a path she started, that you're not alone in this." Elon took the compass carefully. The metal was warm in his hand. The needle still pointed north, steady and true. "Thank you, Dad." "Make her proud, son. Make us all proud." "I'll try." Elon hugged his mother goodbye. Then, awkwardly but genuinely, he hugged his father. 3 embraces in 1 week. After years of distance, they were finally finding their way back to being a family. At the door, Elon paused. "You know what the hardest part is?" "What?" May asked. "Knowing she's out there, alive, waiting, and not being able to just call her, talk to her, tell her about my day, ask her advice. It's like she's dead and alive at the same time. Present and absent, it's the strangest grief I've ever felt." "I know, darling, I feel it too. But at least now we know the truth. At least now we understand why the grief felt so complicated, why it never quite went away." "Because she never quite left," May said. "No, she just went somewhere we couldn't follow, until now." Elon stepped into the hallway. Then he turned back one more time. "I'm going to find her, Mom, I promise. However long it takes, however hard it gets, I'm going to reach where she is. I'm going to finish this story." "I know you will, sweetheart. You've never broken a promise in your life. Especially not to her." The elevator arrived. Elon stepped inside, holding Wynn's compass close to his chest. As the doors closed, he looked at the needle pointing steadily north. But in his mind, he adjusted the direction. Not north, up, always up. Toward the stars where his grandmother waited. Toward the answers he'd been chasing since he was 5 years old. Toward the completion of a journey that had taken 50 years and 3 generations. The elevator descended, but Elon's thoughts rose. Higher and higher. Closer and closer. Almost there. Almost home. Starbase Boca Chica, Texas, December 12, 2024. 50 years to the day. Elon stood on the beach near Starbase, watching the sun rise over the Gulf of Mexico. The wind was cold, salt spray in the air. Behind him, Starship stood on its launch pad like a silver needle pointing at heaven. December 12, 2024. Exactly 50 years since Wynn Haldeman had climbed into her Beechcraft and flown into the Kalahari Desert. 50 years since she'd stepped from one life into another. Elon hadn't planned the launch date to match. But when his team told him the weather window was perfect for December 12th, he'd known. The universe was speaking. Time had come full circle. In his pocket, he carried Wynn's compass. In his office, he'd left letters for his children, just in case, just like his grandmother had done. Not that he expected to die today. The test flight was unmanned, just Starship flying to orbit and back, proving the technology worked, proving the bridge was strong enough. But still, space was dangerous. Rockets were dangerous, and Elon believed in being prepared. His phone buzzed. A text from May. "Watching the live stream from New York. Your grandmother would be so proud. I'm so proud. Fly safe, my darling. Love, Mom." Another from Kimball. "You've got this, brother. See you on the other side." And one from Tosca. "Tell Grandma hello from all of us." Elon smiled. His family knew, they understood. Today wasn't just another test launch. Today was a promise being kept, a bridge being completed, a grandson reaching toward a grandmother who'd been waiting among the stars. "Mr. Musk," a voice behind him. Tom Mueller, his old friend, his first engineer. "We're 30 minutes from launch. You should get to the control room." Coming. Elon took one last look at the ocean. The sun was fully up now, painting the water gold and pink. Beautiful. His grandmother had loved beautiful mornings like this. In the control room, dozens of people worked at stations, monitoring systems, running checks, making sure every piece of the puzzle was perfect. Elon moved through them, answering questions, giving encouragement. But part of his mind was elsewhere. Part of him was already in the sky, following Starship up and up and up. T-minus 15 minutes, the launch director announced. Elon sat at his usual station. Around him, tension built like electricity. First orbital test of the fully integrated Starship. Years of work, billions of dollars, the future of space exploration. And for Elon, something more personal, a step closer to finding Wynn. T-minus 10 minutes. Elon closed his eyes. He thought about the little boy on yellow grass in Pretoria, the child who'd counted stars and made promises, That boy had grown into a man who built rockets, who changed the world, who never stopped reaching. T-minus 5 minutes. He thought about his grandmother's voice in the video. "Come find me, I'll be here." The words had played in his mind every day since. An invitation, a challenge, a gift. T-minus 1 minute. The control room went silent except for systems checks. Everyone held their breath. 30 seconds. Elon opened his eyes and watched the screens. Starship stood ready, patient, waiting. 10, 9, 8. His hand found Wind's compass in his pocket. The metal was warm. 7, 6, 5. "I'm coming, Grandma," he whispered. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. The world turned to fire. Launch. 33 Raptor engines roared to life. Fire and thunder and impossible power. The ground shook. The windows rattled. The air itself seemed to scream. Starship lifted off. Slowly at first, almost gentle, then faster. The most powerful rocket ever built, climbing toward the sky on a pillar of flame. The control room erupted in cheers, but Elon was quiet. He watched the telemetry, watched his dream rising higher and higher. Stage separation successful. The booster separated and began its return to Earth. The upper stage continued climbing, accelerating, pushing toward orbital velocity. Starship is nominal, all systems green. Higher through the clouds, through the atmosphere, breaking free of Earth's embrace. Orbital insertion in 30 seconds. Elon held his breath. Orbital insertion successful. Starship is in orbit. The room exploded. People hugged. Someone popped champagne. Years of failures and setbacks finally overcome. They'd done it. They'd actually done it. Elon stood and walked to the window. Outside, he could see nothing. Starship was too far away, too high, but he knew it was up there, dancing among the stars, touching the place where his grandmother lived. "We did it, Grandma," he whispered to the sky. "First step, first real step." Someone clapped him on the back. "Congratulations, Elon, this is history." "Thank you." But Elon's mind was already moving forward. This was just the beginning. Next would come landing tests, then cargo missions, then crewed flights, then missions beyond Earth orbit, beyond the moon. Missions to the coordinates Wynn had left him. His phone buzzed with messages, hundreds of them, congratulations from around the world. But the one that mattered most was from an unknown number. The message had no words, just a photograph. An elderly woman, silver hair, kind eyes. Standing at a window. Behind her, visible through another window, was Earth, and in her hands she held a sign. "I'm watching, I'm proud, I'm waiting. Love, Grandma." Elon's vision blurred. He stepped out of the control room into an empty hallway. His hands shook as he stared at the photo. She was really there, really watching, really waiting for him. He typed a reply, though he didn't know if she'd receive it. "I'm coming, I promise. Wait for me." He pressed send. The message sat there for a moment, then showed as delivered. To where, to whom, he didn't know, but he believed it reached her somehow, across the distance, across the impossible gap between Earth and wherever she was. Press conference later that day. The world wanted to hear from Elon Musk. Reporters packed the press room at Starbase, cameras everywhere. Questions shouted before he even reached the podium. Elon stepped up to the microphone. He looked tired but happy, a man who just moved mountains. "Today, we proved that Starship works," he began. "We proved that humanity can build vehicles capable of carrying us beyond Earth, beyond everything we've known. This is the beginning of a new chapter for our species." But I want to talk about why this matters. Not just the technology, not just the engineering, but the reason behind it all. He paused, gathering his thoughts. In his pocket, his fingers touched the compass. "When I was 5 years old, someone I loved very much taught me to look at the stars. She taught me that the sky isn't a ceiling, it's a door, and that someone needs to be brave enough to walk through it." That person is gone now. Or at least, I thought she was gone for most of my life. But she left me a gift. She left me the belief that reaching for impossible things is worth any sacrifice. That some questions are bigger than comfort or fear or what everyone else thinks is reasonable. Questions like, are we alone? Can we survive beyond Earth? Can we become something greater than we are? My grandmother once told me that the stars are closer than we think. For 50 years, I thought that was just poetry, beautiful words from someone who loved flying. But now I understand what she really meant. Elon looked directly into the cameras, knowing millions were watching. The distance between dreaming and doing is shorter than fear makes it seem. Every time we launch a rocket, every time we push technology forward, we're closing the gap between Earth and the infinite. We're proving that humans can be more than we are, that we can reach higher, dream bigger, become citizens of the cosmos, not just this one planet. This isn't about me. It's not about SpaceX, it's about everyone who ever looked up and wondered, what if? It's about the dreamers and builders and people brave enough to chase impossible questions, even when the answers seem forever out of reach. A reporter called out, "Mr. Musk, what's the next step? Where does SpaceX go from here?" Elon smiled. Higher, always higher, we'll perfect Starship, send cargo to the moon, then people to the moon, then cargo to Mars, then people to Mars, each step preparing us for the next, each mission teaching us how to live beyond Earth. And after that, we go where no one has gone before. We answer the questions my grandmother spent her life asking. We find out what's really out there, and we bring those answers home. He didn't say more, couldn't say more. The full truth would wait, but he'd planted seeds. Let the world know that something bigger was coming. That night alone on the beach. After the press conference, after the celebrations, after everyone had gone home or to hotels, Elon returned to the beach. The stars were brilliant tonight, clear sky. No moon, just endless points of light stretching to infinity. He sat in the sand and pulled out Wind's compass. The needle still pointed north, but Elon adjusted his thinking. North was just a direction on Earth. The real direction he needed was up. "May Musk is writing a book about you," he said to the stars. "About your life. Your adventures. She's calling it A Woman Who Flew Too High. She wants people to know you weren't crazy, that you were brave." The stars didn't answer, but Elon felt peaceful anyway. Errol is different now, softer. He talks about you all the time. I think he finally understands what you were doing, what you gave up and why. Kimball and Tosca know the truth now. They're processing it, it's a lot, but they understand why I push so hard, why I can't stop. They understand I'm following you. A meteor streaked across the sky. Elon smiled. "Was that you saying hello?" He lay back in the sand looking straight up. "I built the bridge, Grandma, just like you told me to. It's not finished yet, not tall enough to reach you, but it's strong, it's real, and every day I'm adding another piece." Starship flew today, 50 years to the day after you left. I don't think that's coincidence. I think the universe has a sense of timing, a sense of poetry. I'm 43 years old now, not the little boy you knew, but I still count stars. I still make promises to the night sky, and I still remember everything you taught me. To ask questions, to dream bigger than everyone else thinks is reasonable, to never accept limits, to build bridges instead of walls, to reach for the stars even when everyone says they're too far. The ocean whispered against the shore. The wind carried salt and promise. "I'm going to find you," Elon said to the infinite dark. "However long it takes, however many rockets I have to build, however many times I have to fail and try again, I'm going to reach where you are. I'm going to see what you've seen, learn what you've learned. And when I do, I'm going to hug you. I'm going to tell you everything that's happened, everything you missed, and I'm going to thank you for leaving me breadcrumbs to follow. Thank you for the star chart. Thank you for the letters. Thank you for believing in a strange little boy who counted stars and made impossible promises. You kept your promise. You went to the stars. You've been watching from above just like you said you would. Now I'm keeping my promise. I'm flying, I'm reaching, I'm coming to find you. Elon sat up and looked at the compass one more time. The needle pointed steady and true, but in his heart the real compass pointed up, always up, toward the grandmother who'd taught him that the sky was just a door, toward the answers she'd spent 50 years protecting, toward the truth about humanity's place in the universe. The stars were closer than anyone thought, and Elon Musk was close enough now to almost touch them. He stood and brushed sand from his clothes. Tomorrow, there would be more work. More tests, more steps toward the impossible goal. But tonight he'd celebrated. He'd honored his grandmother's memory. He'd kept his promise to keep reaching. And somewhere millions of miles away among the stars she'd called home for 50 years, Wynne Haldeman smiled. Her grandson had built the bridge. Her sacrifice had been worth it. And soon, very soon, the door would open. The truth would be revealed, and humanity would take its next step into the cosmos, together. And that was the end of this incredible story. A grandmother who chose the stars, a grandson who built bridges to reach her, a family secret that spanned 50 years and changed everything. We'd love to know, where are you listening from right now? Drop your country or city in the comments below. It's amazing to see our community from all around the world. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button. It really helps us bring you more fascinating stories like this one. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss our next video. We have so many more incredible, emotional, and thought-provoking stories coming your way. Finally, if this story touched your heart, please share it with your friends and family. Help us spread kindness and awareness. You never know who might need to hear a story about dreams, sacrifice, and never giving up on the impossible. Thank you so much for listening. Keep reaching for the stars. Until next time.